thing.
Now we're testing it.
But I think
I think it's a bad argument, but I think we just avoid it altogether by now being, and we'll look before.
that I was
Testing. All right, we'll get started. Welcome everyone to the January 22nd, 26th meeting of small meeting. My name is Lindsay Van Slamberg. I'll be your chairwoman. Fellow board members present tonight are Daryl Cobb, Bill Turner, and Fillmore Wilson. City staff present are Frankie Pinto, BOS administrator, and Travis Scally, senior preservation planner. The order of tonight's meeting will be as follows. For each application, we'll hear an introduction overview from city staff for the benefit of the board and the public. This will be followed by the applicant's presentation. If you are speaking as the applicant, please approach the podium and state your name first and last for the record, and the applicant will have 10 minutes to present their project. If you are speaking on behalf of the applicant, so owners, designers, consultants, speak during the applicant presentation versus during public comment. By ordinance, the board can ask questions of the applicant at any time, but by customary do so on the heels of the applicant's presentation. This will be followed by public comment. Any written public comment that was timely submitted has been provided to the board in advance of the meeting for review. If you are speaking as a member of the public about a particular project, raise your hand, I'll recognize you. Approach the podium, state your name first and last for the record, along with your address of your neighbor. Public comment will be followed by city staff comments and recommendations. Once we've heard from city staff, the applicant will have a 5-minute period of time to respond to or clarify anything raised in the public comments or in the staff comments and recommendations. After the applicant response period, public comment of the applicant's presentation will be closed and we'll move into board discussion and a vote on each application. Results will be posted online at the city's website. This evening, we have no items withdrawn or deferred. And please turn off your cell phones and remember that the purview of this board is architecture only. So anything related to zoning, livability, stormwater are not from the purview of this board and should not be voiced here. Get started. Agenda item A1 is review of the minutes from the January 8th, 2026 meeting. I make a motion to approve with the revisions I circulated to the board this afternoon. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, the motion passes unanimously. Agenda item B1, 8 Magnolia Avenue. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction and overview of the project, please.
8 Magnolia Avenue is in North Central Council District 4. Category 4 in the architecture inventory, circa 1940 in the historic materials demolition district. This will be an opt-in review. They are requesting opt-in for demolition of existing exterior elements visible from the public right of way after conceptual approval or the proposed addition. This is the property's location on Magnolia. I'm going to turn it over to the applicant.
Hi, my name is Skylar Fogston and I'm the designer of the project. We have the owners outside with children and in the back also. So we are opting in. We came before the VAR in, I think it was May was the first time for demo only. But now since we're able to show what we're proposing, that's what we've done. We've also in the meantime met with VAR staff to go over to the design and the process for opting in. We've met with the North Central Neighborhood Association, Preservation Society. We had zoning on Tuesday where we got approval for this, as well as talking with neighbors on the block and what people think about our design. Zoning SR2, we went for zoning on Tuesday. We have approval. The house is an existing non-conforming setback, so we had to get approvals on that. Historic context, the house has remained largely the same shape and position since it was built in the early 1940s. The one change that happened is at some point there's a rear laundry addition that was changed from a porch to an enclosed addition. These are some existing images looking at the house. Again, constructed about 1940, it's just under 1,500 square feet. We are proposing around 300 square feet to be demolished for dormers. That would be about 22% of the roof. But the larger ask and opting in is for changing the existing pitch of the roof from 5.5 and 12 to 7.5 and 12. This is because the ridge beam sits too low to have code compliant occupiable space up there to have a half story. There are other craftsman cottages in the neighborhood that have that usable space and are able to occupy a half story. This one is not. All of the new construction will match trim style, exterior detailing of the existing house will match the look and feel. And there's no changes to the overall footprint or lot coverage on this project. And these are some comparable homes in the neighborhood on Peachtree, Maple, and Rutledge that have a ridge beam high enough to have an occupiable, very modest half-story addition for children's bedrooms. A Magnolia sits just slightly lower than that, just above 6 feet. And these are some views from the street. There's streetscapes showing existing and proposed later in the presentation. But it's very roof lines, very street. There's only a few houses that actually face the Magnolia on this block. So this is the site plan. You'll see the 2 dormers are situated behind the 50% line. So they're at the rear of the structure and take up about, I think it was 22% of the roof. And so these are existing demo and proposed elevations. So we're showing the change in the roof line and where 2 windows would go at the front and the rear of the structure. And then also how that would look with both dormers and that changed pitch in elevation. One other thing to note is that we are, and this will be clear in the floor plans, we are proposing to demo the rear chimney. That is because the front chimney would have been the primary chimney in the house, but it was never built. It was a faux fireplace. It's not fire-rated brick. There's no evidence of patching. The rear chimney, because we are asking for a very modest half story, these are going to be small spaces, children's bedroom. The main head height we have runs right down the center of the house following that ridge, and that's exactly where the chimney falls. So we would have circulation issues if we were to keep the chimney. This is what the dormers look like from the side. Again, they're pushed to the rear of the structure. First floor, we are changing nothing on the exterior, minimal interior renovations to accommodate a stair to get up to the new half story. And then the second floor, those 2 bedrooms, small in size, pushed to the rear, small bathroom, small play area for kids. And then that's where you see that chimney that's situated almost dead center, is very minimally visible from the public right-of-way. You can see it a little bit, and you can see it from the backyard, but it's pretty short and situated at the back. These are some more details. We're proposing to keep, even though the roof would be entirely new, we're proposing to keep the ridge and keep the eaves, to sort of keep the style and tone the BAR would have liked to see or would have proposed if this was an original roof. And there you can see the 5 and 12 existing going to a 7.5. This is a streetscape. The overall height of the structure would be compatible with the neighborhood, with the streetscape. And the main reason we went from pitching the roof is it keeps the distance between the existing windows on the side and the eave the same. If we had picked up the roof and created a new wall, the way there's a house on Ensign, Maple, there's a house in the neighborhood that has done that. You have extra siding in between the top of the window and the eave that just creates a little bit of a different look. So this tries to keep it as streamlined as possible. And then this is some perspectives to show you how far those dormers are pushed back, and pretty minimal renovation overall. The window at the front and at the rear, we are keeping the top of that window at the same height the ridge used to be at, as sort of a nod to where that ridge used to sit. We studied a couple different options on how to look at that, talked with Preservation Society, but ultimately think that that is a good way to give some nod. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone speaking in the public?
Utility Historic Charleston Foundation, HCF is pleased to see the opt-in process being utilized for this agenda item. While we typically would not support full roof demolition, we acknowledge that the applicant is proposing only a modest change to the roof pitch. The addition avoids a camelback effect and does not overwhelm the historic house. And we appreciate that this represents a sensitive approach to accommodating growth while preserving the building's historic character. Although the proposal results in a minor change to the building form, HCF does not oppose this project. Thank you.
Larry Antonora, Preservation Society of Charleston. The PSC appreciates the owners and applicant reaching out to us about this project and their willingness to explore sensitive and creative options to adapt this historic bungalow. While we recognize that this approach is unconventional, we feel that the existing proportions and historic form have been retained to the greatest extent possible. Further, the proposed dormers have been kept to a reasonable size and set back from the front facade, minimizing visibility. For these reasons, we are pleased to offer our support for this proposal. Thank you.
there anyone else speaking? Okay, Frankie, if you'll give us any staff comments and recommendations, please.
Okay, the applicant did previously submit for a slightly different request with demolition, which was under the standard historic materials demolition district. And was denied, and that was in May of this year. Applicant has also met with staff to coordinate the opt-in review process, and the owner has signed the opt-in affidavit. The proposed dormers are toward the rear of the structure and pulled away from the eaves, which is our standard request for these type of things. While staff is typically opposed to the removal of a chimney, the existing chimney is a small flue, but it's toward the rear of the structure. We didn't feel it was a character defining to the structure. And just a reminder to the board, this is an opt-in application, and if approved, this parcel will be in the opt-in purview going forward. Staff, I actually forgot we had talked about the window being at the height of the existing ridge. We were recommending that maybe the half round window be retained in the gable. But staff recommendation is an approval of the demolition and the conceptual approval and conceptual with staff. Okay, we're trying to word these motions correctly since this is the first run on it.
No, you're fine. Ms. Clausen, did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in the public comment or the staff comments?
Yeah, the only thing I would want to clarify is that half round, it's a vent, not a window. So we're open to options on that window, but just to clarify, it is a vent.
Is that window for egress or?
The front window, it is just a playroom, so it's not needed for egress.
But should that
There's,
playroom ever be used as a bedroom? It's,
yeah, also just thinking about small girls with sleepovers and friends, my public safety preference is that it's an egress window, and that's what we have at the rear of the structure also.
it's sized to meet egress requirements.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, public comment, if you have a presentation is not closed, move into board discussion and a vote.
I'm pleased with it. I think the overall design is thoughtful. It's respectful of the building's existing height, scale, mass, its form, proportions, fenestration, all of that. So the dormers aren't overly excessive, large. I'm fine with the window. You never know that that room may one day be used as a bedroom, and it is a good idea. So I'm comfortable with the application.
Yeah, I'm doing, when we looked at this back in May and got the demolition, got denied, so then there's, there are creative ways to add on, to these modest structures that are respectful. That you got to get, sometimes you just have to get creative, and that's what they've done.
Yeah.
They've gotten creative.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine. I would love to see a half round window that I know the vent, I think is not an option, but I would see a half round window there, but I understand that the concept of egress is important. So I'm okay with that. I would make not a condition at all, but a suggestion that it be investigated to hook the chimney back up through the roof, but I would not make it a condition.
And support it from within.
Yeah, support it, just
Yeah.
the chimney is particularly tight chimney, because it's not hard to do.
Yeah.
We've got a great chimney, but I would not make it a condition. I agree with Steve. I think it's a defining feature, but it's set way back. It's really hard to see from the street. I would not make it a condition.
I want to comment that this is a good example of our first opt-in application, because I don't think, based on precedent, we would have approved this, because it is a roof. If we just a demo purview, removing the roof, and so I think this is a great example of it.
I do too.
I have no additional comments.
Do we have some confusion on the motion? And remember, this is a motion, so now the motion needs to both approve. It's the motion demolition and conceptual approval.
I would make a motion for approval of demolition as submitted. Conceptual approval. Plans. With a board comment. To investigate. Visually retaining the chimney above the bridge.
How about, final
That was
staff?
my
Yeah,
next
preliminary and final staff.
We need to include that as well, just like the other areas of town, or they would have come back to us. Preliminary and final, right?
I think just include it for this one and I will make sure going forward that I have it worded as we need it to be.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor for approval of demolition as submitted and conceptual approval of the plans with a board condition to investigate visual.
Comment, not a condition.
With the board comment to investigate visually retaining the chimney above the ridge with final review by staff. Do I have a second to Fillmore's motion?
I'll say.
Point at each other. Carol, I heard
Yeah.
you. All right, I'll put the motion to a vote. Bill,
Yay in favor.
Fillmore,
Yeah, in fact.
Daryl,
Yeah, in favor.
the chair votes for the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 2-9 Magnolia Avenue. Frank, yes, you'll give us city staff. If you'll give us an introduction overview, please.
9 Magnolia Avenue. Just for the record, that was the only option we will have on this agenda. For clarification. 9 Magnolia Avenue is in North Central Council District 4. It is a category 4 in the architecture inventory, circa 1935, in historic materials demolition district. They're requesting approval of partial demolition of exterior elements visible from the public right of way. This is the property's location at 9 Magnolia. And I will turn it over to the applicant.
My name is Matt Sanford, owner of 9 Magnolia. I know you guys did a site visit this morning and I was flying back from Boston, so sorry I couldn't be there. And this is the first time I've been in front of BAR, so forgive me if I don't know policy. So I'm just gonna run through what we're proposing. Is that okay? We want to replace take down the asbestos siding. There looks to be the original siding beneath it. We won't know what condition that siding is in until we take down the asbestos shingles. So I would, as the owner of the house, would love to keep the original. If we can't, we would replace it with a similar clap style that was there before. Rather than put the hardy plank style or the style that's there now. We would love to demo the chimney that has separated from the house. The house has a working fireplace. It has the ability, I don't know if the flue and everything is intact, but it did have a fire. It does have a fireplace. I assume that's because that's the only way to heat the house. There's no HVAC in the house. So we like to avoid the expense of putting up a new chimney because we wouldn't have a fireplace in the house with the way the living area is planned. There is a carport there. And so we're seeking approval to demolish the carport and the area of the house that it is attached to open up into a larger structure of livable space. I heard from my partner that the concerns this morning was possibly that the roof line may change in the carport, and we're suggesting that we keep the roof line of the carport the same, but increase the square footage of the carport, which will require a variance, which we are on schedule to request or meet on, in early February. The windows, the only window that's in question has to do with the back of the house. If we do increase the size of the carport, that one window would go away. All the rest of the windows, we're going to save and use. As far as the roof, we're just going to tear up the shingles and repair. The roof does leak in several different places, so we're not changing anything with the roof line. We're just going to make it weather tight and put new shingles.
Thank you. On the roof, when we were on the site visit this morning, I got the impression that the rear of the roof, there would be, I'm thinking of the right one.
So one of the big hole in the back of the house.
Yeah, but I thought the plan was to actually take out a portion of the roof, and we can't know what's going back.
Yeah.
So it won't just be a roof tear, you'll actually take away a portion of the rear side.
As of right now, all we're proposing is to keep the roof the way it is, but it needs to be repaired structurally because it between water and termites, it's sagged down in the rear part of the house.
Okay, so there would be no cutting into the roof anywhere.
To like build another structure, not as of right now. We have to see like how we can create space here. So there may be the possibility of that in the future, and we would have to come back here. But we have to see how the variance goes. If we can't get a variance, we're only seeking a variance to go no further towards the property line than the carport is now. But because we're changing it from a carport to a livable space, we have to go through that process. And so we can create more livable space through that area of the carport. We're not looking to do anything else. So the roof does need to be re-supported there and taken up the materials and
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions for the applicant?
That's one, Frankie. While we're on the subject of the roof, to me, it sounds like it's more of a repair.
Yes, so
Can this be treated as
reshingling the
repair?
roof would be a repair.
How about, I'm sure there's structural stuff like replacing some rotten rafters, things
That
like
would still be considered a
A
repair,
repair.
and the board would not need to approve that.
It sounds to me what he's requesting is a repair.
Of the roof, yes,
Yes, okay.
there are some portions, here, let me just read part of my observation. So what he's requesting is removal of chimney, part of the exterior wall, the carport, that little rear abutment, and well, the roof and the siding. But the siding and the roof, that can be handled at staff.
Right.
So really what you guys are looking at is chimney, a portion of the wall, the carport, and the little thing on the rear, which I don't think it's visible.
Okay.
And none of the windows except for the window that's within
That portion of the
wall
wall.
portion.
Because there were multiple notes on the drawings that pointed to windows saying something like they would be replaced or at owner's discretion or something.
Yeah, but anything that's replaced in kind is not considered a demo, so they
Okay.
can replace it in kind.
Okay, gotcha.
So I think any motion we need to call out what we are approving, if anything. Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you. Do we have one from the public?
Linda Moore, Preservation Society of Charleston. The PSC appreciated the chance to visit the site this morning. As submitted, these plans are difficult to evaluate and more clarity is needed to determine what is being demolished versus repaired or replaced in kind. We would not be supportive of the proposed demolition of character defining features like the chimney and would need more clarity on demolition of sections of the south elevation. We ask that the proposal be deferred until more information about the scope of the demolition and age of materials can be provided. Thank you.
Thank you, Tilly, Historic Charleston Foundation. We appreciate the opportunity to visit the site this morning. However, the proposed demolition appears overly extensive There is insufficient clarity regarding its scope. Given this uncertainty, HCF cannot support the project as proposed. Thank you.
Is there anyone else speaking? Frankie, would you give us any staff comments and recommendations, please?
Can't type that back. So as I was saying, the request includes removal of chimney, exterior wall, carport, rear abutment, and asbestos siding. It would also include shingles on the roof, but again, let me rephrase the next comment. Removal of the asbestos siding can be approved due to the policy statement for the historic materials demolition purview. The same would be of the roof. Since it's shingle, we can approve a re-shingling of it as a roof repair. The structure is a vernacular building that tells the vehicular history of the peninsula, of which includes its location patterns. Strike the bottom part of that sentence, which tells the vernacular history of the peninsula. Sorry. And the chimney is a character defining feature which is prominent on a structure and highly visible from public right of way. Staff recommendation would be a denial of the chimney, carport, and portion of the wall, but we do not oppose the demolition of the rear addition. And I will add a note to the board. We can review the siding and the roof at step as a repair.
Okay. Mr. Sanford, did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in the public comment or the staff comments and recommendations?
Yeah. Back up. In this morning's walkthrough, it was said or asked, why couldn't we just encase the current carport? You know, we're trying to make this house work, and there's just not enough space in the house right now. And so we're trying to be cognizant of, you know, all of the features of the house and keeping it with the time period and the neighborhood. So we're not opposed to enclosing that carport, but it's not as simple as just keeping that roof the same way and walling it. You have to put a foundation in it and all that stuff. So is the process now, if you guys deny it, that I have to live with that, or do I have to work with the BAR to come up with an alternate solution? Just trying to find solutions to make this house more livable than it is right now.
We'll talk about it during board discussion, so you get some color.
Okay, thank you.
All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote.
Frankie, you said you thought that rear appendage was not visible, so it's not in our purview.
We thought I unfortunately didn't make it to the site visit this morning. We had a meeting scheduled. From looking at the aerials, it didn't appear to be very visible. I don't think it was visible at all, but I will make my statement that if it is, it's very minimally visible. But either way, staff did not oppose that being removed.
I always worry a little bit about this. That little appendage on the back is not visible, it's not in purview. Yeah, it's original to the house. I don't think there's any question about that. But if it's not in our purview, it's not in our purview. I also think the carport is original, and perhaps we consider it like the chimney, defining architectural feature. All these houses have old carports, but that aside, what concerns me more than that is the fact that the drawings are so confusing. And I just, I always feel like we're putting our stamp on what's before us, and that's the drawings. And I think these drawings need to be cleaned up and very clear about exactly what's being removed, not what's being put back or proposed, but it's just a a re-roof and not a roof removal, the drawings clearly say demo roof. And that always concerns me because, you know, I have no objection at all. If it's not, the drawings are inaccurate and all they're doing is putting a new shingle roof on and repairing sistering some rafters and some new sheathing, fixing the sheathing and putting a new closure system on, then it just goes to staff. It doesn't come to us. It's not our problem. So, what do you guys feel about the carport?
Well, let me, back to what you were, I also agree that the drawings are very vague and they're not clear as to what's going on.
The
Normally we
west
see-
elevation is what worries me.
Yeah, normally we see more graphics, things shown graphically, so it's very clear. And not with notes like one note on the drawing is that windows to remain where possible, you know, and replaced as required by owner. That's a very vague statement. I mean, does that mean they're to be removed as in demoed, or is it they're going to be removed and replaced with something else, or what? And then just the vague notes on the roof, referring to it as demoing the roof, but it doesn't show up outline of what's being demoed, but now it sounds like it's not a demo, it's a repair. So I agree with you. They're very confusing. They need to be cleaned up and made much clearer. But to your question about the carport, I'm kind of on the fence on that in that when I look at Sanborn maps, there's a bump out on that side, but it looks like it's longer and doesn't come out as far as that carport. So, but the carport is detailed like the rest of the house.
Right, it's
Yeah.
constructed exactly like the rest of the
Yeah.
house with the same details.
Yeah. Obviously, the columns are not original.
No, the columns.
Yeah.
Are not.
Yeah.
Two of the columns on the front are not.
And if the point is to allow this house to grow some, I would rather see it grow on that side than say a camelback stuck on the back.
Oh, yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
But we can't, like we said, we can't discuss what's going back or anything, but or what the reason for the demo is. But the carport, I'm on the fence because it's just a roof structure. There's nothing else to it.
Yeah, well, that's about the
I see it
carport.
differently than when we have the carports and some of the projects we've seen that are an extension of the roof.
Yeah.
And we've been really clear on those. They need to stay. This
Yeah.
is a little different. And I think I'm with you. I would almost rather see the house expanded.
Yeah.
On the west elevation.
But in general,
On the
I would
rear.
defer this so that the drawings can be refined and made clearer.
Right.
Then it can come back and make a proper decision about it.
I agree. I do agree with staff, the chimney, although it will need some rebuilding. It's very visible from the street. It's a very, very strong character defining feature for this simple little house. And so I think that's important to retain, repair and retain. The bump out in the back, unlike you, visible at all. It's minimal.
So,
Yeah.
And what about the exterior wall if this comes back? What
well,
do you think about?
I mean, if you're, the house is, oh, we can't discuss that. I would rather see it come back with clear notes and very clear about exactly what's being demoed.
Mhm. Daryl, do you have any thoughts on any of the elements we're talking about, just to give the applicant some guidance, so when he comes back with clearer drawings that we know
I mean,
maybe what the board may approve demolition of?
I think these two, Fillmore and Bill, have covered everything on my list.
if there are windows that need to be replaced, there needs to be a window, an appropriate, window survey.
And that's
It's
staff
shown on the,
Yeah.
new drawings. I'm just trying to give a little guidance here. Shown on the drawings, which windows would be replaced, which ones should be restored, which ones should be retained. That is. They are being replaced, whether they're being replaced with. But that might go to staff, I think.
I think that all that goes to that.
Yes, yeah,
if-
make all that,
If there are ones we can approve that.
So I think the only
only the
element,
ones that would be.
It would-
As long as they're being replaced in kind, they
Yeah.
would come to us.
the only demo is, we're only looking, I think, at 4 elements. So the chimney, that exterior wall.
That
we need
exterior
plan
wall,
with your
door.
Carport, well, that's part of the exterior
Yeah.
wall. So it's that door and window. So it's the chimney, exterior wall, carport, and that rear abutment. I think we're all in agreement about the rear abutment, but we just need clearer drawings.
Yeah, I mean, if we give approval on this, we're approving the air date drawings. I mean, it's not clear as to what, with notes on there saying demo roof. I mean, I don't feel comfortable approving drawings that say demo roof. Rooms are repaired, or the comments on the windows, the notes.
And I don't think there's enough here to just approve some elements. I think you have to see the drawings.
Make a motion. To. Or
We have a motion on the floor for deferral. Do I have a second to Fillmore's motion?
to defer. Clarification.
All right, we have a motion on the floor for deferral for clarification of drawings. Do I have a second to Fillmore's motion?
Second,
Bill, the motion to a vote, Daryl,
Yeah, in favor.
Fillmore,
And
Bill.
yeah.
Majority and the motion has unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Sanford. So moved. Agenda item 3 is 90 Gordon Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction, review the project, please.
Okay. 90 Gordon Street is in Wagner Terrace, Council District 6. It is category 4 in your inventory, circa 1950. In the historic materials demolition district. They are requesting approval for partial demolition of exterior elements. Like right of way. This is the property's location on Gordon Street. And I'm going to turn it over to the applicant.
Joel Adrian, Crystal Creek Design, here to present 90 Gordon Street, and I'll apologize for not knowing what the protocol was. We were hoping for full review, but I did not realize I had to get the owner to sign an affidavit and do some other things. So Frankie has yanked the pertinent stuff off that you should not be looking at because we're just doing demolition. So I'm sorry about that. I'll go through the history of the site because I think it's interesting. The Sanborn maps show the when things were built very clearly. Our site plan here as the proposed demolition in red. That area is a garage that was added on, and then there's some bad little stairs on that back area. So that's the initial request for demolition. So the new structure is not going out as far as it is. That current structure is a foot off that right side property line. The new structure is smaller and it's actually decking. Some aerials of just zoning map and flood information. And I will get to the history of the timeline. The house was built right around 1960. And then there was an addition done to it somewhere between 61 and 64. The only area in the house that we're touching is that addition that was done between 61 and 64. So the historic structure, original construction, is not being modified at all. Just part that was put up later. And I think if you I'm often getting to the site visit, I had a quiet meeting in the office. You looked at it, you walked around, if you saw that roof and what's going on back there. I think a lot of streams couldn't have come up with that roof plan. But the current owners have resided at the house from that sale in, I think it was 1969 or 1970. So it was the parents left it to the daughter, and daughter, her husband still lived there. So it was wonderful hearing, conversation as we were coming up with the design and how she wanted to transform the house that she's always known. So Sanborn maps, I think that it's good to see 1944, nothing, 48, nothing. And we'll flip one more, and 1951, I guess was the 50, sorry, square rectangle is there. And then come along, we're down at 64, and you can see the little bump in and then the little bump in, and all of that is the addition that we are focusing our attention on. More aerial context, because it's a corner lot, the part that we're focusing attention on will be visible from that side street. The front street, that elevation will not be modified. Nothing will be seen. Everything is lower than that existing bridge on that roof. And so there's the existing plan, and that big black mark is our proposed. So you can see it's the garage that was added that frequently will get a couple of inches of water in it. And then those stairs that I don't know, the current owner, every time he walks down these stairs has to duck actually to get out to the walk area. And so the existing house, which goes back to where this hatch is, nothing in here is being modified at all. So these windows, these stairs, this front area, that all remains the same. Roof on it remains the same. Something that is actually shown over here, that we are, these two little windows, they're in this little laundry area, are going to shift 18 inches plant north. Same windows, just sliding. So that would be relocation, but that's part of demolition because the opening moves. Second floor, purpose for the demolition of the roof over this part of the house that was added is that these stairs are not code compliant, and not sure, I guess they were built somewhere in the 60s. And this area here is going to be renovated to have 2 bedrooms, bathroom, and then a little upper living area for the family. Grandkids coming over, spending time going on. Roof plan, and here it is. So existing roof remains the same. This area here that's been added, that roof is going to come off. Garage addition is coming off completely. And then there's going to be a simple little gable roof that goes behind there and lower than the ridge that's there. So this shows you the demolition again. This feature here, this roof, and again from the rear elevation. So when you look at that rear elevation, you see that the historic house, the rear of it has already been, hidden from view, and so we're not changing any of that, just cleaning up that rear elevation is much simpler roof form. And then that side again, it's showing exactly where we believe the original house was, what was added, and what we're working on. And then it's these 2 windows that shift slightly because there might be a small dormer in our gable roof that comes in there. Existing section shows you what's there. And then some context photos. Again, looking, I think, at this one here, seeing the little garage, all of this and what's going on there. So our request for removal of walls remaining other than the garage. And that's it.
Any questions for the applicant? Do we have anyone speaking in public? All right, Frankie, if you'll give us some comments, recommendations, please.
Staff just has some observations that the request includes demolition of the rear addition. Structure is on a corner, which makes the rear visible, but highly visible, but the rear addition was constructed somewhere pre-1960s per the Sanborn maps. And the existing demolition request does not contain character defining features. So staff does not oppose the request, and we will apologize to Joel for not catching the. No. We figured this out on the go after being handed it. So We will make sure there is an email blast on requirements and et cetera.
Thank you, Frankie. Joel, did you want to respond to or clarify anything in the staff comments?
I guess I'll just answer questions. Hope I explained. I think we're limited to the demolition to areas that were not really original to the house, but old enough because it was in the sixties and it's under your purview.
All right, public comment. The applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into the discussion and a vote.
I almost view the additions as original, really, because they were built only like 2 years or 2 years after the house itself was built, something like that. So I'm having a little trouble getting my head around that, and the garage is just, it's bizarre the way they did that, the way they did it. Ran that roof line into the back of the house, and then there's some really funky stuff going on over. I guess that would be the west side, the roof. Configuration over there. I guess what gives me a little heartburn is the amount of roof removal that's visible from the street. What do you think, Daryl?
I think it's awkward and unattractive. I don't see it, a lot of historical significance to it, so I don't have any problems with demolition. But it's me.
I'm with you, and I agree. I'm not looking at the age so much because I think it is old enough that it could be considered original. It's more, are these character defining features, or are by preserving this, are we preserving some architectural gem?
Yeah.
And the answer is absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve demolition as submitted.
All right, we have a motion on the floor for approval. Approval of demolition as submitted. Do I have a second to Daryl's motion?
Yeah, I'll second.
Motion to vote. Daryl,
Yea in favor.
Bill,
You in favor?
chair votes the majority, and the motion passed unanimous.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Agenda item 4. All right, agenda item 4 is 304 Ashley Avenue. Frankie, if you'll give us an introductory overview of the project, please.
Right, you already need to be track here. Other side is organized and I messed it up. Like water bottles. 304 Ashley is in West Side, Council District 6. It is not surveyed. Circa 1930, though we did later find an earlier date for that. In the Start Materials Demolition District, they are requesting approval for full demolition of existing structure. Is the property's location on Ashley? And I will turn it over to the applicant.
You said 10 minutes, right? Okay, so I'm gonna read some comments into the record on behalf of my client. And so I'm going to time myself. All right. So thank you all so much for meeting or allowing us to be here today. I am Amy Steele from Charlotte, North Carolina. So this is my first time in Charleston appearing before you, not in Charleston, but in general. So I just want to start by saying my clients are interested in demolishing this home, and I will read some contextual information just to provide the context around why they want to demolish the home. But I'm going to go ahead and go through the information you see here. So here is the maps, or here is the sample map for this particular property. It is a very small home. This property is currently approximately 735 square feet. But the original structure was right around 500 square feet, and then it had an addition, and we were able to go inside of the home today with you all. So again, this is the exterior of the structure and a few contextual narratives about the historic nature of the property. And then there are some additional photos I provided of the property front, rear, etc., as required. And then the bar submission or submittal list. So I will stop there just to go into my words that I'd like to put on record. So my name is Amy Steele and I represent the Baxter Reynolds and Young family. I'm here to speak on behalf of 304 Ashley Avenue. This property has been in my client's family for more than 80 years and they plan to keep the property. What brought us here today is the owner's desire to demolish the current structure as it is cost prohibitive to repair and retrofit the current structure while adding income producing value via square footage, height, and lifting the home. The owner wants to then proceed and build a new structure. The engineer has provided a full summary assessment that can confirm the functional obsolescence of this property, the environmentally hazardous asbestos siding, faulty foundation, and so much more. The engineer writes, based on my review, it is my opinion that the structure has deteriorated to a point where renovation is not advisable. The extent of foundation and first floor framing replacement would make salvaging the ceiling and the roof very difficult and impractical. The extremely low and tight crawl space further renders this work impracticable. Additionally, given the low grade and crawl space depth, even a crawl space encapsulation would prove inappropriate due to site drainage issues. For all these reasons, I recommend that this existing building be demolished and a new structure constructed in its place. That was from an independent structural engineer's evaluation of the property. In Charleston, the bar is legally required to consider whether denying a demolition permit deprives a property owner of all reasonable beneficial use of their property. This property has an extensive restoration journey of a dilapidated and functionally obsolescent building. This is more than about aesthetics. It's a matter of civil rights and property law. Under South Carolina law, a municipality's interest in historic preservation generally cannot supersede its duty to clear a structure that is a potential public nuisance or a threat to public safety and health. While we know that a personal challenge may not be a factor in your decision to allow full demolition, the main property owner has been bedridden for 16 years due to a massive stroke, and her full-time caregiver, her husband of more than 40 years, just passed away a year ago. The cost of her care is approximately $144,000 to $164,000 annually. This is an important factor in terms of this family's legacy of their mom's home that they now co-own with her. While important, a Freedman's Cottage in Charleston, South Carolina is a small vernacular single-story home, often 300 to 500 square feet, with a gabled roof and a side piazza, built for working-class families, including newly free people, immigrants, and whites. From the late 1800s to the early 1900s, they are known for their narrow footprint and unique architecture. Often those looking to preserve these structures do not necessarily factor in the mental hardship of such a memory and preservation. Preservation of the historic fabric of this is the overarching understanding we have as to why this historic property must remain. Our goal is legacy preservation versus structural preservation. We are proposing to replace the decaying hazard with a high-quality, time-honored duplex that honors the scale and rhythm of West Side while providing the modern utility required for this family's well-being. We ask the board to consider the totality of the circumstances, the structural integrity, the economic hardship of restoration and preservation of the existing structure, and the deep-rooted family history at stake. We understand the position of the Historic Preservation System, especially since it seems that a decision may already have been reached. But we ask that you consider that this property doesn't belong to the people, nor to the Preservation Society, nor the city of Charleston. It belongs to this family and has for over 80 years. The proposed construction of a time-honored duplex on this site is the primary viable path to generating the income necessary to maintain the family legacy. This building is not a matter of profit, but of survival and dignity for a woman who has spent her life contributing to the spirit of Charleston. By approving this demolition, the board allows an 80-year family legacy to remain solvent and continue their stewardship of the street. Overall, we ask that you please consider a full demolition of this home. With that in mind, I've also started discussions with the representative from the Preservation Society on additional options for the site if a decision has already been reached. Previous examples of renovations and preservations of Freedman's cottages are available, and architects and builders who are skilled at this type of preservation are what we've asked for. So that is my presentation. I see that I have 4 minutes remaining. So I'm gonna read into the record my owner's response to a public letter that may have been turned in for you. And that was by the HOA president, Ms. Sarah Spangler. He writes, "My apologies for the delayed response. I'm currently working outside of the US. And the significant time difference made communication challenging. The property has been in our family for over 4 generations. My sister Jocelyn Reynolds Young and I currently co-own the property. You may have seen Spring Castle Ventures LLC on some documentation. The entity is wholly owned by us in equal shares and serves as a means for us to manage the property before it moves into a family trust. We took over active ownership for our mother, who has required full-time skilled nursing care over the last 18 years after she suffered a traumatic stroke. Until recently, her primary caregiver was our father, who passed away a little over a year ago, which has necessitated us taking on an even more active role in all aspects of her life. Prior to that, the home was owned by our grandmother, Mary Baxter, and before that, our great-grandmother, Miss Agnes Brown, both of whom lived to be nonagenarians and were ever present in our lives growing up. Thus, we are acutely aware of the history you describe as descendants of freed slaves and understand what you are positing. As a professor at North Carolina State University, I've taught multiple courses in our Africana Studies program, including last semester, where my class on historically Black colleges and universities found my students and me on a field trip in Lawrenceville, Virginia, the former location of the now defunct St. Paul's College and one-time home of a slave breeding plantation. So I clearly, unequivocally understand the historical significance of places and structures that are reminiscent of a time in history where my ancestors were housed in some of the poorest conditions in the United States after having served many decades as a slave in the home of some of the most brutal and inhumane owners. Our family has certainly benefited from the home at 304 Ashley, and we are indeed thankful for the ability to own the property for more than 80 years, which indeed carries some historical significance. None of this is lost on our family. However, while the home is connected to many memories, as I grew up visiting my grandmother and other family elders who told stories and shared family history in this space, we are determined to ensure that this asset will remain with our family for future generations to come by preserving our future and those memories in a different way. We will never forget our past, despite the structure of our ancestral home being demolished, if approved, and then our family having the opportunity to create lifelong legacy of our progeny by erecting an income-producing asset that allows us to own the land and preserve our family's history and our legacy our way. While we sincerely appreciate your perspective, this is our family home. We are not large developers seeking to drive prices up in the local area, although there are many examples of homes that have been demolished and a new structure rebuilt to maximize the highest and best use of the property for other transient owners. These changes to this legacy property are intended to serve 2 purposes: to help defray the significant expense of providing skilled care for our mother for the remaining duration of her lifetime through an income-producing asset, and to eventually be passed on to generations in our family. Your suggestions would have our family bear the burden of preserving something of questionable historic value to our financial detriment. While that might be palpable to newcomers to the city or professional investors, our family has owned this property for multiple generations and has been deeply embedded in the community's fabric. My mother attended historic Burke High School and remains tremendously proud of her upbringing in Charleston, as do 2 of her sisters who still live in the city. However, it cannot be required of the oppressed or the descendants to continually and perpetually bear the burden of preserving the roots of historic oppression. We have considered several options, and after long deliberations and while remaining in constant communication with the bar planning office, as well as discussing with our extended family who also live in the city, and after thoughtful consideration, we have concluded that demolishing the home and rebuilding is our best course of action to meet the needs of our family, while contributing to the revitalization of a neighborhood our family has been a part of for multiple generations. While we respect your position and are always open to constructive dialogue, we hope that you will reconsider your position with a better informed perspective. Our position is that, as currently conveyed, your suggestions, while well-intentioned, don't reflect the totality of the circumstances that underlie this issue that are financially untenable. And my time has expired, as I have been self-monitoring. So I will say in closing, the founding fathers of our country viewed property rights as sacrosanct to fighting to functioning democracy. And our Fifth Amendment says, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. And we feel that if the property is not allowed to be demolished, it will be a financial detriment to my clients. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Steele. Do you have any questions for the applicant? Okay. Do we have anyone speaking in the public?
Thank you, Philly, for Charleston Foundation. We appreciate the opportunity to visit the site this morning. While we completely understand the applicant's desires to keep the property in their family for redevelopment, as a preservation organization, we cannot support the demolition of a historic structure. Based on the information provided in the application, we do not find sufficient justification for full demolition. The building's historic form and defining architectural features remain intact, continues to clearly convey its historical. For these reasons, EHCF respectfully requests that the board deny this application.
Hi, my name is Sarah Spangler. I am the Neighborhood Association President of Westside. Just to clarify, we don't have an HOA right now. We're the Neighborhood Association. And also the letter that you just heard, I just wanted to clarify, I did not make suggestions. It was just a letter saying, with my current understanding and knowledge, I plan to oppose. If they would like to email me with more information, I was open to changing my opinion if I heard more from the family. So my name is Sarah Spangler. I'm the president of Westside Neighborhood Association. I want to begin by saying I'm dismayed this demolition is built solely on the purpose of maximizing profit. However, concerns with this application began with procedural and factual information. Based on the materials submitted, it appears the key architectural information was incorrect, including the home's typology, age, and neighborhood identification. Details like that are clearly documented in historical record. The lack of basic research is troubling, particularly for a structure on a corner historically composed of freedmen's cottages. I'm also deeply concerned by the engineering documentation. My understanding from the owner's letter is that the engineer did not include foundation photos because the owner believed the letter provided to him with no question. Those images are essential for independent preservation experts to evaluate alternatives. Without them, meaningful review is not possible. I would like to share that I reached out to each individual on the cover page with questions, including if the engineering photos were available, if alternatives to demolitions had been fully explored, such as cost estimates for rehabilitation, and if the engineer wrote the letter knowing that demolition was the desired outcome. The architect listed on the cover page, who was the only respondent until last night when I heard from the owner, stated, I was contacted by this project and I relayed to the owner/client that they should not request full demolition for this property, nor do I support it. I do not have any contracts with this client and I am not requesting any type of demolition for this house. I do want to acknowledge the owner's memories of visiting their grandmother here are meaningful, but personal connection does not replace due diligence, nor does it excuse inaccuracies in Charleston's history, especially in Westside, where so much working class Black history has already been lost, including the 2012 demolition of the sister Freedman's Cottage that was next door, where now a 3-story modern home stands. In a recent interview with a neighbor who was on the other side of the home, she's very concerned that a similar modern structure will be built in this place. I did inform the applicant of the opt-in rule, which was recently passed, if they would like to submit architectural plans so that we could review those. Thank you for your time, and full demolition should be a last resort, not a starting point, so I remain opposed to demolition. Thank you.
Flannery Antonora, Preservation Society of Charleston. The PSC appreciated the chance to visit the site this morning and speak with the applicant. The legacy ownership of this property is integral to its history and that of the neighborhood, and we commend this family for their long-term stewardship of this historic building. Because of their efforts, this 1912 cottage survives on a streetscape that has suffered tremendous loss over the years, including the former sister house next door at 302 Ashley. While this board cannot consider economic hardship or financial feasibility in evaluating this demolition request, the good news is that we have seen buildings in worse condition be successfully elevated, and rehabilitated for continued viable use. Based on the structural evaluation provided and the site visit this morning, we are confident there is a path forward for this building as an integral part of the West Side neighborhood and as an asset for this family. The PSC would be happy to offer guidance and connections with experienced professionals who can make this possible. For these reasons, we ask the board to deny this request so the applicant can study alternatives and potentially return for review of a revised scope of partial demolition that preserves the original portion of this property while offering flexibility to remove the existing 1965 addition to pursue a new sensitive addition. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, board members, and my president of the West Side Neighborhood Association. Years ago, we had a wonderful store on the corner of Fishburne and Ash. Nice store. It was demolished, and they put up a nice two-story yellow house in this place, destroyed the history on that corner. Like my president alluded to, next, right behind it, they built this huge, almost like a three-story house, overshadowing the rest of the Freeman cottages on that street. And Miss Baxter used to live in this house. She raised her family in this house. And they purchased a house down the street, right on the side, across the street from the hanging tree on Ashley Avenue. That was Miss Baxter. She was a nurse. And the city did a study about a year ago because we were losing so much Freeman Cottage, shotgun houses in the city of Charleston. When people come to the city of Charleston, they just don't come to see the modern 3 and 6 and 5-story building in the city of Charleston. They come to see the historical piece of the city of Charleston. Now, Ashley Avenue have all kind of history. And right by this tree again, the Freeman Cottage came before the board about a couple of years ago for demolishment. It was declined. Now, you can look at Sumter Street and see what, working with the city and the neighborhood, and see how Sumter Street is being revitalized and keeping these Freeman cottages. So we can't start demolishing houses and demolishing our history in the city of Charleston. Yes, we must remember our history, but we have to do better than what the past have done to people. So we just can't live off that. We must make sure that we show people that what people who have worked hard, came out of slavery, worked hard, and developed these Freeman cottages, build these Freeman cottages, because it's the only place that they could have lived. And if you look at this one particular house, and just go around the city of Charleston, nothing else in the city of Charleston look like it. It's a one of a kind. It's a jewel. And if you know, they lost a house on Lion Street, 190 Lion Street. It was a jewel, was torn down. So as an activist in the city of Charleston, I ask you to decline demolishment of this piece of property and have hope someone and hope the family could put their financial system together and remodel this house. I'll raise it up. Thank you.
Mr. Lawrence? Mr. Lawrence? Would you be so kind as to state your name and address for the record? I know who you are, but not everybody else does.
Yes, my name is Arthur Lawrence, and I live at 210 Fishburne Street, and I lived there for years. And I watched this piece of property, and I used to do work on this piece of property for Miss Baxter and her family. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Kevin.
My name is Kevin Everly. I live right down the street at 367 President Street. I'm the president of the neighboring neighborhood association, and I can be very short. Just to remind you, there is no means testing in the BAR, that the city does not require more of those people of great means. It does not permit less of those of limited means. So I hope that the board will excise any consideration of that. And even if you were to consider the finances of the situation, the board certainly is not charged with maximizing income. That is far from the purpose of the board. I can't even really imagine how you could possibly demolish a building, construct a duplex with housing and construction costs for new construction as they are, and hope to possibly see any income stream to support a relative for 15 years. But finances should not be part of the mix at all. Thanks.
Do we have anyone else speaking from the public? Okay, Frankie, if you'll give us the staff comments and recommendations, please.
First staff observations, the image overview did incorrectly list Patrick Orphis as the architect of record. He is not affiliated with this project. Staff has also received documentation that the structure is older than the posted date, is circa 1912. Freedman's cottages are vernacular architecture which are distinct to Charleston and primarily associated with Charleston's African American community. Per the 2004 Upper Peninsula Architecture Inventory, 106 Freedman's cottages existed at that time. It's currently unknown how many of these structures remain today, though we do have a current survey in progress. Staff conditions for approval. A stabilization plan should be submitted to staff within 60 business days. That would not be for approval. That should just be a staff condition. I'm sorry, guys. I can't type either, I guess. And if any demolition is approved, project must wait 30 days, the 30-day appeal period, which is required by ordinance prior to any demolition of permanently approved. A staff recommendation is denial as submitted with board conditions, with staff.
Thank you, Frankie. Ms. Steele, did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in the public comment or the staff comment and recommendations?
Yes, ma'am. So as I stated earlier, I have been in touch with the Preservation Society about alternatives. So I am confident that we can pursue a plan that might work to preserve the initial or the existing roof line, as well as the presence of the building in the front, and potentially seek a demolition later of the rear of the property that was added, the addition that you all walked in this morning. I do want to address what Ms. Spangler said in terms of the architect. So one of the reasons I did list the architect that I have been in touch with to remind him or to inform him that he was incorrectly listed was because he was the one I consulted. And on the application submittal requirements, it requires you to list an architect. So I did not hire him. We did not hire him. He was not hired by the family. And so I've been in touch with him. And so I do on record state that he is not affiliated with this project. For historical records, obviously there's a lot to learn about this process for sure, and those will be addressed in the future in terms of better and additional research. So I do want to just state that on the record. In terms of the engineer, I want to clarify that the engineer's office over and over again said, what is your purpose for seeking a structural engineer's inspection and report? We definitely said, because we want to demolish, and the engineer said, I cannot do it for that reason. You must have another reason. And I said, well, we want to know what's going on with the property. And that is the only reason they allowed us to pursue a contract for this structural engineer's report. So while he knew, because that is a fact, he also and his office articulated that they could not pursue a recommendation based on simply us saying that we wanted to demolish the property. As far as the financial hardship, one of the things that my client is aware of is that if they pursue a new construction loan, that they will be able to get funding. If they pursue historic preservation funding, those options are available but limited. So that was the purpose of the difference in the funding sources, understanding that you all cannot consider that. I appreciate Mr. Arthur's comments, so thank you so much. And thank you for the work that you did for Ms. Baxter and her family. This family also owns another property on Ashley, so again, they are trying to preserve their family's legacy. And I think that's the last thing I have to say. Yes, I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote.
So we're definite, this is the date of the thirties was wrong, and it's 1912, right?
So typically when we put together the agenda, we are pulling dates from tax records. And unfortunately, with the tax records, there are many catch-all years, and 1930 is one of them. So when we heard from the preservation groups that the date was incorrect, Rachel did some digging. She found a newspaper article stating 1912.
Okay.
Do we know when the
1912.
addition was put on?
Yeah, that was gonna be my next. Has anybody researched when the
We
addition?
did not
was
research the addition, we only searched the
Okay.
the three new cottages.
All right.
1964, okay.
There's one, I mean, there was only one, in their submittal, there was only one, Sanborn map in this submittal, and it's very blurry. And, did you guys find any other Sanborn maps?
I don't believe that we looked, since when we started research, we were trying to confirm the date from the preservation groups. And the 19 team can't be confirmed by Sanborn, so we were checking.
Okay, that makes sense.
And did you hear, it sounds like from the applicant in 1964 for that addition.
64, okay. And being out there today, the house is in very good condition, in my opinion, and I've looked at a lot of these over the years. A structural report, you take those with a grain of salt. They're basically saying, it's going to be costly to fix. It's not saying, they're not saying they're not fixable, that things aren't repairable or restorable. So I always take structural reports with a grain of salt. Mr. Lawrence made a very good point. We have lost a lot of freedom cottages up in this area before the board had the purview that it does up in that area. And it's important that we keep these. We've got a dwindling number of them. And there used to be, I think, 3 of them at a road right here, and this is the last of the 3. And we had one right down the street on Ashley Avenue last year that was in much worse condition than this, that we denied the demolition of it. This one is, in my eyes, it's completely restorable, and it's most of it is intact. I would not be opposed if we can get a good date on those additions. If they want to come back and apply to remove the additions, I would be very open to taking off that rear kitchen addition, and also the porch infill where they did the bathroom bump out. But yeah, I don't think this is something I can total demolition, something that I could support.
I agree. I think in line with we've seen Freedman's cottages, similar structure in a lot worse condition than this. And I think this would fly all the precedent that we've set.
I think you could probably, I mean, it will need to be elevated, but judging from the neighboring houses, it wouldn't have to be elevated so high that it would destroy the integrity of its appearance as form. If the original portion was preserved, I'm sure some sort of sensitive addition could go on the back end.
And I'm in agreement that I would entertain if the applicant came back, potentially, approving a demo of that rear addition.
Certainly, the application could come back adjusted, and just the Freedman's cottages we have consistently demolition. pretty many cottages where survived, and further studies should be done to determine the evolution of the structure and viability for its preservation. That's what needs to come back.
I have nothing to add.
Sounds like we have some consensus.
I would make a motion for denial of demolition as submitted.
Okay, we have a motion before for denial of demolition as submitted. Do I have a second to Fillmore's motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Daryl. I'll put the motion to vote. Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
Fillmore,
In favor.
Daryl,
Yeah, in favor.
your vote for the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Steele. Thank y'all. All right, agenda item 5 is 232 Rutledge Avenue. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction over the project, please.
Two thirty-two Rutledge Avenue is in Canterbury, Elliott Borough, which is. It is a category 4 in the architecture inventory, circa 1885, Wheaton City District. After the fact, half denial for effects. This is the property's location at Rutledge. And I will turn it over to you.
Is the applicant here?
All right.
Would you like to speak then?
Yeah.
Were you anticipating your?
No, I was not. So first of all, I want to apologize that the contractor didn't show up. And I want to give kudos to Mr. Arthur. I wish he hadn't left. The story that he told was beautiful. He made me proud to be part of this community. Thank you guys for what you do. We appreciate that you keep the city beautiful. So I'm here about the fence that we hired Manor Fence Company to build for us. When I met with them, we told them what our needs were. We essentially told them we want the fence as high as the city will allow. And we would like it to either go straight across house to house, if that's what the city requests, or have it to come from our house out. I think it's maybe like 8 feet or so, and then turn towards the road and then meet the existing fence of the neighbors. It was my understanding that we had approached you all to get approval. It turned out they did not get approval, although it was in their contract that they were going to seek approval. They did not get approval. We even discussed it with them the first day that they started building the fence. Asked them, did you get approval from the city? And we were told yes. They built the fence. As you guys saw today, the fence is there. If you guys decide that it gets altered, that the only request that my wife and I would have is that, is it okay if I point out something or two? The only request that we would have is, I guess, let me first of all, when I looked online, there were slides showing the fence, but the fence essentially, yeah. Oh, there are pictures here. So, so you can, is it that I'm getting close to it?
No, Travis is changing it. So
Oh.
you're not doing anything by
Okay.
touching the TV.
I thought it was a magic screen perhaps. But can you go to the next slide? I just wanted everyone to see the design. So it comes off the front of our house, goes toward the yard, over, and it meets the existing fence at this house. And this is off a little bit. It actually, the fence is right here. It comes all the way over here and meets this existing fence here. If you guys decide that it needs to be changed, the only request that we would have, that we would want you to consider, is the section of the fence here. Please leave that, because that was our whole reason for wanting the fence. Not to go into detail, but we've had issues with some neighbors essentially just coming into our driveway and piling their trash up there, and it makes our house look bad. So if you do decide that the fence has to be altered in some way, we would like to keep this area enclosed some way, just so people can't put their trash there, because it really does make the property look bad. Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant?
The fence drawing that was on the slide up there, is that what the fence company gave to you as to what
Yes,
was
sir.
going to be built?
Yes,
Yeah, what's out there doesn't even match that.
Yeah, now, you're right.
Yeah.
It comes over and connects with the fence or with the existing fence of the neighbors.
And it has those arches, which this isn't showing the
Right.
arches.
You're talking about the gate.
Yes.
You know, these drawings show the columns, the post being exposed, and the way it's built, they're kind of behind the fence now. It's very different. What's out there is very different. Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Now, point out one more thing.
Sure. You're in.
I just want to point out that the other work that was done to the house, the foundation work, the painting and such, we did seek approval for that. I don't want you guys to ever think that we were trying to slip one in on you. The foundation work and the painting and things of that nature was done with a different contractor. That contractor didn't feel that he was qualified to do the fence, so he referred us to a different contractor for the fence. So we did seek approval for all the other work.
Thank you. Do we have anyone speaking from the public? Okay, Frankie, if you'll give us any staff comments and recommendations, please.
Since this is an appeal of a staff denial, we just have the date this was denied by staff due to creating awkward condition and a fortress-like condition at the street. And I will add that we realized this after I wrote staff comments. The height does not match either, as the drawings say it is 6 feet tall, and it is taller than Travis. Travis is 6'4".
I think the gates are actually probably like 7 feet, you know.
Do the
Scale of measurement is Travis.
If you would like, you have the opportunity to respond to or clarify anything raised in the staff comment. You don't have to, you just have the opportunity now if you would like.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that the fence is tall. I haven't measured the height of it. We trusted that the company would build it as tall as the city said it could be built. That's really the only comment I have.
Thank you. All right, public comment in the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into more discussion and vote. I want to be clear on what we have heard you over. Okay. So EAR has to approve a fence in this area. It can't be approved at staff level.
No, staff can approve a fence in the areas. So when it was determined that a fence was, we had a permit that we denied, based on the design of the drawing in the location. We said it was creating fortress-like appearance, and it was creating awkward condition with its draw close to the street. We denied the permit based on that. But
Was it this drawing that you?
yes.
Okay.
Also, the fence is actually constructed, so.
Yeah.
So we were denying it, and essentially the denial is being appealed so that they can keep the fence that they have.
So if we were to uphold the city's denial, then they could just work with staff to fix the fence, or do you want?
Either is an option. Either they can submit drawings that staff is able to approve, or you can put conditions on it that we would think we can enforce.
Okay, all right.
Can I make another comment?
Does anyone have a question for the applicant?
Yes, I have a question. What is my question?
What's that now?
What is my question?
Oh, I don't know.
You can only speak during the board discussion if we have
He's
to.
giving you the opportunity.
I've given you, Yes.
I just wanted to say, as you can see, the contractor's non-responsive. Since this came to light, they have been very non-responsive. They did show up today, they're not responsive. My fear is that if we have to adjust the fence in some way, we may have to get someone else because they're just not responsive.
I would definitely. Thank you.
When I look at the context of the area, most fences up and down that stretch are 4 feet high at most, you know. There are no tall walls along Rutledge Avenue up in that area. So I think it's entirely too tall, and not by a little bit, by a lot. I think I think also the placement of it is a little odd. Yeah, and the way it kind of zigzags out to the street, but not quite out to the sidewalk, it's just kind of odd. So I think it has to change. I could support it staying.
So it sounds like height is one of
The
those
height
items,
is-
the configuration. I have no problem with the applicant said that piece,
No.
that piece that is there for, you know, the trash reasons. As long as, I mean, the height needs to be lowered, but the location of that fence over there, I don't have a problem
Yeah,
with.
it's primarily the height and the opacity of it. It's very opaque.
Most of the fences along that street are not only 4 feet tall, they are iron on a knee wall.
Yeah.
So it's completely, the way it was constructed is completely incongruous with the streetscape. So it's over tall, and it is, I agree, it is too opaque. And it's a stockade style fence, which we generally do not approve in the historic. So, no, and I sympathize with the applicant. I think he needs to have a very serious conversation if he can get them on the phone with the contractor that built this, because it clearly, from my perspective, doesn't align with any of the design criteria that we might approve. The little piece along here, a little lower, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, but
That's not the problem, it's the
that's not the
height.
problem. It's the streetscape, the height, the fact that it is a stockade style fence, and so.
I think wood is okay, you know, but I don't think it has to be iron fence. There's one up there on the corner of Bogart and Rutledge, and they've got a low, reasonably high wood fence, you know. It's a simple but nice little fence. So there are some wood fences.
Yeah, I don't think it.
Yeah.
I'm not. Doesn't have to be
Yeah.
iron fence.
Right.
But I think it does have to come down and have an appropriate design.
Yeah.
That is not stockaded style.
Well, it sounds like we've got some consensus and that it's to uphold the staff denial, but I think we want this to go to staff versus having to come back.
I think it can go
to
to staff.
us. So maybe a couple conditions.
Yeah, I'll take a stab at it. Uphold staff's denial with the condition. Uphold staff's denial, allowing staff to review drawings for a new fence, and that fence cannot exceed 4 feet in height and cannot be opaque.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to uphold the staff denial, allowing staff to review fence design with two more conditions, that the new design cannot exceed 4 feet in height and it cannot be opaque. Do I have a second to Bill's motion?
I'll second.
Vote. Daryl,
You in favor?
Bill,
Yeah, in favor?
Fillmore,
Okay.
chair votes the majority and the motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Okay, agenda item 6 is 157 Trav Street. Right, if you'll give us an overview of the project, please.
Yeah, give me 1 second. to get caught up. Need the second on that, please.
Um,
157 Pratt Street is in Charleston, Council District 8. It is category 4, circa 1819 in the Historic District. Requesting a conceptual approval of exterior alterations, including reopening the porch, fenestration changes, and demolition of its addition. This is property location on track. I will turn it over to you.
Good evening, Sebastian Von Marshall. I'm the architect representing the owners, Eric and Michael are both here this evening. We're delighted to present this project for conceptual review and feel happy to go ahead and as Frankie pointed out, it's a late 19th century single house and actually sister house of one of several properties along both Trad and, interestingly enough, also a couple around the corner on the adjacent street. You can see here some of the Stanmore maps. The one in the center shows the 1902 map. The three sister houses can still be seen at the bottom there with more or less an identical footprint. And then by the 1950s, the Stanmore map on the bottom right side, you can start seeing some modifications being made. Most notably, a two-story addition that was added on the back, which is visible here. In our meeting this morning with the board, we did also conclude that there was a two-story porch that ran the entire west side of that property. So you can see that porch sort of zigzagging the building steps back. That's mirror images. Some site and some contact images. You can see both of the sister houses to the project, which is at the center of 157. You can see on the left is 155 and 159 on the right. Both single houses that were all built at the same time. And then across the street, some of the more narrow buildings on this side. And then some close-up images of the project site itself. There are a couple of unique characteristics about this house, and specifically things about the elevation and the exterior that the owners would like to address to more or less restore what the historic appearance looked like, which is to say to bring it back into to make it similar again to the sister houses that were built at the same time. Most notably, you can see on the left image that the door was switched from the porch screen to the opposite side, which led to some very strange configurations inside. We'll see those in plan. And then the window from that location was moved into the porch screen. That was section of the porch was subsequently enclosed on both the first and the second floor. You will notice that there's some decorative hoods over the windows, which are likely not first period, but probably not too much older. We are proposing to keep all that ornament. We'll get into the details of exactly those components here in a minute. And then some images of the back that you can see once you come down the driveway, the back of a rear porch enclosure with the gained window there, and then the west facing elevation with the door and the two windows. Also in the top right corner there, you can see the little addition that was a little water closet that was added to conceal the exterior piping and plumbing, and then two windows up top, which I believe we determined this morning are not visible from the public right of way, and which would be replaced with two French doors. We would also be proposing to extend the railing and extending the second floor on that section of slab roof there, which is what we believe was historically there based on samples. Some images of some new entry doors on the porch, and then we get into our floor plan. So you can see the awkward configuration of what happened to the single house. The room, the porch enclosure on the ground floor that was created when the entry was moved and stored, and entry was created on the east side of that ground floor. You can see how we're proposing to restore that at the bottom there. The rear porch enclosure would remain. You can see that enclosure in, I guess, here below the first floor plan. And then you can see how we're adjusting the back, changing this view to the rear door, adding a larger window on the back of the breakfast room, and moving up to the second floor. The second floor porch enclosure would remain. We would be removing a small, I don't even know what to call it, this sort of small closet enclosure on the second floor piazza that is materially differentiated from the rest of the house. And then you can see the two front doors that would be replacing the windows off of the primary bedroom further back, and the railing that would extend the piazza all the way to that two-story addition that was done all the way on the south side of the building. Existing proposed roof plans, really the only change visible here is at the back where that one third roof would be converted back into the second floor porch. And then the front elevation. So here you can see that the swap between the window and the front door. We did determine that the upper, the entablature above that door is most likely first period and appears to be identical to those of the surrounding buildings. The width of that, the door was modified, so the pilot sort of removed on the other side. Facing with that, and the door was converted to a front door. We would be salvaging, the plan is to salvage as much of this material as possible, so the goal is to shift that door over into the porch screen and then to remove the existing historic window with the decorative hood above and replace that in its original location. You can also see an elevation of that shutters back on the front of the house. The context image will show that the neighboring houses have shutters as well. We feel that was the appropriate treatment. The rear elevation, you can see the larger window, the breakfast room that would face south into the garden. And then up top, you can see the removal of that bizarre closet structure on the second floor porch. You can also notice we are swapping out the door that currently leads into that enclosure to the front door, but again, that's on the back, so not visible from the public right of way. And then lastly, the left facing elevation, where you can see the unenclosure of the first floor porch section on the street, retaining the second floor, the rear, the second floor porch enclosure and the rear section of that existing porch enclosure. You will notice that we're adding a second window there as well, with shutters, and then modifying the French door on the second floor and that's the bedroom, and removing the window in the back section next to the rear entrance. Again, no visibility there right away. There was a conversation about a couple of trim adjustments, so continuing the cornice or the cornice profile along the second floor porch below that second floor porch enclosure at the front to kind of make that read like an original porch that was enclosed later. We would also plan to mimic the existing baluster where in the areas where we are extending the railing. And then lastly, we were delighted to discover that some of the historic columns that were removed when the porch enclosures were added are still below the house. So the plan would be to reuse those historic columns in their original location. Most notably, the one that we added on the ground floor. We have met with preservation groups and have enjoyed our conversation with them, their comments and feedback about some of the nuances of those trim resolutions, and I welcome any questions you may have. Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant? Thank you. Do we have anyone speaking?
Equally Historic Charleston Foundation, HCF appreciated the opportunity to meet with the applicant to review this project in advance of the meeting. We are encouraged by the proposed reopening of the first floor plaza and value the care being taken to preserve and restore this Charleston single house. We are in full support of this application. Thank you.
Larry Antonora, Preservation Society of Charleston. The PSC is excited to see this project restore the harmony and rhythm of the sister houses on the streetscape and reopen previously enclosed sections of the piazza. We are pleased to offer our support, and as this project moves forward, encourage the applicant to explore restoring the pilasters on the door surround, studying the sister houses as. Thank you.
Is there anyone else speaking? Okay, Frankie, if you'll give us any staff comments and recommendations, please.
Staff observations, as the nation of front doors more appropriate to the structure. Provided shutters show evidence of existing shutter bulk, and staff appreciates the reopening of a portion of the piazza. So staff recommendation is conceptual approval with a preliminary and final review by staff.
Thank you, Frankie. Mr. Von Marshall, if you want to respond to or clarify anything.
No, thank you.
Public comment, the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion.
A lot of good things happening here, and, you know, I'm always appreciative and happy to see when piazzas are reopened. The restoration of the front facade by putting the windows and doors back to where they belong is huge. I would like to see when the door is put back to the piazza screen that the pilasters be added back as well, and not just taking that unit that exists, that modified unit that exists, and just plugging it in. You would never get all that out in one piece anyway, so it would have to be rebuilt. So yeah, that small change, and then as Sebastian had mentioned, kind of carrying some of that language of expressed beam that's above the columns up underneath that second floor porch enclosure that's going to remain. I think it's it would be a good detail, would be a nice nod to that was once an open porch up there. And I think everything on the back, all of that's really good stuff. It's just cleaning up a lot of mess and bringing some order to all of that. And I think it's a great project.
I agree.
The only thing that caught my eye, Bill addressed, was the kind of awkwardness of the mass over the porch.
Yeah.
And then it seems like y'all have a solution for that, so I have, it's a great improvement. I don't have any comments.
I have nothing to add.
Bill, did you want to make a motion?
Yes, I'll do accept approval with preliminary and final reviews by staff addressing the board discussion.
We have a motion on the floor for conceptual approval with preliminary final review by staff with the applicant addressing board discussion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Daryl. We'll put the motion to a vote. Fillmore,
Yay in favor.
Bill,
You in favor?
Daryl,
You in favor?
chair votes to the majority, and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Agenda item 7-122 Logan Street. Frank, if you give us an introduction, overview of the project.
To Logan Street, this in Healthy Village, Council District 8, it is category circa 1791 in the Old District. Requesting conceptual approval for rear addition. This is property's location on Logan Street. And I will turn it over to the applicant.
Evening, Eddie Faber with the Faber Architects, representing Charleston Day School, and appreciate the presence of Master John Meredith here and Ross Hostetter, Building Committee Chair, and my team as well, Joel Phantom, Michael Strobel, and Jared Askin. Some of y'all saw this prior to the holiday, and I think it was very well received. We sure appreciated the comments from everybody, and the gist of what was suggested or requested at the motion was further information just to clarify some of the details related to the existing and / original form of the building. In the original application, the portion of the Fielding home at 122 Logan was approved to proceed with details to staff, and we were to focus on the rear section. So with that said, again, excited to be back with this project, and thank you for your time this morning on site. We'll run through some of these things as we pointed out previous presentations, but are in your submission package as well. But a wonderful property and a really important part of town, and something that Charleston Day School acquired maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and wanted to maintain their downtown presence. We were talking about it this morning, that the Fielding home, which was such an important part of the community, or a portion of the community, have been there almost 100 years as residents to that building. And I think the hope is that passing the torch, it becomes a place for Charleston Day School here forward. Some of the things that are important, and we pointed this out on site, and apologize for the graininess of the photos, the best we can do with it, but as we proceed through this, we wanted to be able to document again the form, what was original, what has been modified since. The photo down there, which may be difficult for people in the audience to see, talks to some of the parapets in the building, which had been significantly modified and altered. There evidence in that photo that what had been there more originally, and that's from 1915. The lot had a series of structures. When Charleston Day School got it, the blue chapel element, the largest element on the property, in a section of the building in front of our section of the building we're talking about tonight was approved for demolition, which was also helpful. We can point that out to the staff and board on site today. So in an effort to provide additional information, what we did was basically have a series of view corridors, also corresponding with the materials that have been opened up on the inside to document that what we are requesting to modify is not original. The form element that is most important, although limited visibility, still something critical to us, is something that will be maintained. So these are just a series of progressions down Logan Street that demonstrate the view corridor to the structure in the rear, which we would be talking about tonight. The photos on the rear key into the elements in that section of the building to show that so much of it, as we saw this morning, with the sections that we're dealing with, has been salvaged material, rebuilt material, CMU, stucco on wood. So some of it may be older elements, but none of it in its original place. The exterior facade of the structure here keyed with the elements of the windows are all metal windows, asbestos shingle siding. Again, noting the visibility, roof form, again, still not visible, but it's something we're very cognizant of and will be maintaining, and have improved the visibility of it. Further down the street, not much at all in the way of visibility, but I do want to point out that from the rear of the structure, all of that element will kind of remain in place as a part of our form. So that is something that will remain intact. There has been a hazmat report, and needless to say, that there's a lot of materials that need to come out, which will be our first pass. None of that original, but whether it's shingles or otherwise, mastic elements in there that will be. This drawing, I think, was very demonstrative, and again, appreciate the opportunity to present it to you, because what we did was categorize again the elements and all of the things that have happened to the rear structure of the building since it was built. The blue form, just putting it simply, is the gable section, which we are striving to maintain. All of the rest, and I won't go through everything there, has been key to show how it's been built over, demolished, removed, that so little of that original material remains. And with the structure that we will be adding on the addition to the rear section of that building, which has the number 10 on it, the only element, sorry, I'm not sure which that's bunch in, is the section of the roof that gets covered is just in the black swath. So super limited visibility, but something we're very cognizant of. And again, respectively, although that material of roofing is old, the sheathing and everything underneath it is new. So we know that it isn't original either, but something we strive to maintain. So again, the board was very supportive with comments last time, and we reiterated it's our intent to kind of adhere to board comments and Secretary of Interior standards with what we're proposing. Some of the photographs at the bottom here for those in the audience demonstrate what's happened on the interior, so that a lot of the original walls that supported the main carriage house structure have completely gone. They're not even there anymore. So as we developed our design moving forward, the most, we thought, sensitive and creative way to take advantage of that unfortunate area was to have something new. That the one area where we needed to provide some open space and perhaps double height spaces was in that section far. So again, as far as existing site plan, our structure here, this is the lot we're dealing with. This is all Charleston Day School property, but it's just this portion that is being heard tonight. And again, just some context of the neighborhood, the site highlighted in red, but on the right on the middle. Proposed site plan, again, it wants to kind of give something back not only to the neighborhood, but to the community and green space. Something that presents a very nice front to Logan Street, something that the day school can be very proud of. As we've discussed, and again, it's not anything that affects, I know y'all's decision, but from a functional standpoint, it's not a building that functions well for school or classrooms, and there's no intent to use it as that. It's basically opposite. But what it did allow was the ability for the school to have a sensitive approach to this property and maintain a presence in the city, which I think is quite nice. One of the other challenges, again, particularly Mr. Turner, we may have not have been here last time, but just that we were faced with was the ceiling heights and whatnot, as you may be familiar with in the building. We walked through it a little bit later today too as well, are quite low, and they're all different. And to organize that in a fashion that allowed this building to function without impinging upon the roof. Proposed plan allows us to do that. The fielding home in the front is being restored. The areas to the back become a common area room, a multi-purpose room that we intend to being able to be used not only for the school, but the community and the neighbors, an active space, not extremely large, but something we think is sensitive, but something that kind of breathes life back into the structure and will be a nice element for the school. Second level, again, the mitigating element in the middle becomes the area where we have the elevator and staircase and functions of that nature. A double height space is in the front section with breakout rooms and a small addition at the back that allows us to have a code required egress there. Third level, as shown there. This is our existing roof plan and proposed, and what I think is important as we look at that, and I'll get to that as I go through these from elevation perspective from the street front. Much of this, again, very limited visibility from the public right of way, but this is if you were standing at the very rear of the lot. That's the existing and proposed design. And what we felt was important, again, was the demarcation of where these structures set originally has been so obliterated. So all of that, you know, is in a sense, this is already approved for demolition. This is reworked and rebuilt, but those areas are redefined very clearly. So that there's kind of paying homage to what had been there previously with a small addition off the rear. And then in response to some of the comments which were taken seriously as we looked at it, the roof form, we lowered. We had a steeper slope on the addition and we lowered it down significantly. So more of that form in and of itself could be expressed. Again, it's barely visible from any perspective other than this one, but felt that was certainly valid and something we were happy to accommodate. Rear elevation, again, not anything that's visible, but shows how all of that intent is that it's tucked back from kind of the jewel in the crown, which is the front.
You got about a minute left.
Rear elevation, minimal work, closing up the windows that are non-original, cleaning that up, and that is our end goal. So appreciate again y'all's time and that of Historic Charleston Preservation Society, Neighborhood Association, and neighbors who have all been incredibly supportive of this project. So, thank you.
Any questions for the applicant? All right.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone speaking to the public?
Aurora Preservation Society of Charleston, the PSC thanks the applicant for meeting with us and for taking our feedback into consideration. At the previous review, we requested additional documentation and a lighter touch to the 1790s dependency, especially the roof, which is the most intact portion of this early and important building. We appreciate that this application more clearly identifies what materials will be impacted and that the overall impact to the historic roof form have been reduced. As this proposal advances, we do, however, ask the board to require further differentiation of the proposed addition on the rear of the dependency in accordance with the AR principles, so the evolution of this building is clearly legible. Thank you.
Kate Utility, Historic Charleston Foundation, HCF, thank the applicant for meeting with us. We are pleased to see proposed adaptive reuse of this historic building on Logo Street with a rich and layered history that merits careful preservation. We appreciate the sensitive changes proposed in this application, including lowering of the rear roof, which further respects the building's historic form. We are in full support of this application. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else speaking to the public? Frank, can you give us any staff comments and recommendations, please?
Staff had just an observation that the addition is subordinate, complementary to the existing. And the applicant has provided additional information per previous board motion. The staff recommendation is a conceptual approval with preliminary final review by staff.
Thank you, Frankie. Eddie, did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in the public comments?
Only that, again, thanks again to Preservation and Historic, Preservation Society and Historic Charleston Foundation. We met with Preservation Society previously, and they had suggested the differentiation of the rear, and happy to investigate it, but we feel like to make every single thing something different might be a little much. We're happy to consider that as a part of the motion, and maybe it's the removal of some of the shutters or something that kind of does something to that degree to address it, but.
All right, public comment in the applicant's presentation is now closed. I'll move into board session and vote.
I wasn't here for the previous one, so I've been sort of playing catch up on this one, but I think overall it's a nice design. I think it's respectful to the existing building. There's so little historic fabric left. It's not impacting a lot of historic material. As far as the small addition that will go on the back, your tail end, I kind of agree with Eddie that you don't want to get too many different looks going on here, but I think something just as simple as maybe a shutter pattern change and maybe a when the light cut change might be enough, even if that's needed. But I understand that comment from the reservation groups. But overall, I'm happy with it.
I think I'm in full support of the submittal. The front carriage mast with the ceiling height of 7 foot and 7'3", no matter what it comes back as, it doesn't meet code. You can't do anything with it. I'm not sure how you heat and cool it. So I think I have no problems with the demolition on that. Also, when I look at the south elevation, it is just a big, boring, ugly mass, and what you're proposing is going to be very nice. And the last thing is, since the Preservation Society and Historical Society is in support, I believe I'd be in support too.
Okay.
I certainly appreciate greatly the adaptive reuse of this building, and to a school makes it even more appropriate. And I think what's been done, the plan for the front building is very good. Story done. The exterior of the building, back theoretically to its origin with the modern addition of the single-story porch, which meets all the criteria: height, scale, and mass, general architectural direction, compatibility, differentiation. So I certainly was in support of that at the last meeting. With the additions, I find this way more complicated because there's not a lot of historic material there. And so I think having a serious discussion about historic material is probably not the direction I would think would be beneficial, because there's not much there. What is there is the historic roof form, that is. And of course, you can determine there's enough of the original buildings buried in all of these later myriad additions to determine what the original form of those buildings were. We don't have details and we don't have much original material. If you have that knowledge, that is largely lost because of the subsequent additions. And so what I've struggled with, and I've struggled a lot with this, what I've struggled with is how I can make or have reasonable thoughts about this with some kind of preservation theory, approach, or concept that I can make judgments about. So what I've sort of come down on is that, except for those limited possibilities of form that exist in the original 18th century structures, this is fundamentally an addition. And so it is, and that's sort of the way I've had to view it. And as an addition, it has criteria that we should be considering height, scale, and mass. The problem there, this certainly meets all the criteria of height, scale, and mass. General architectural direction, I think in general, it's there. I don't think it's outsized or it's clearly differentiated from the original structure. The only problem I have is compatibility. I understand that glazed and metal structure creates a beautiful space on the inside. I'll probably want that too, and I'm sympathetic to it. But I find that part of the architecture of the addition to be not compatible with the historic architecture of the building. So I struggle with that. I also think that the little addition on the back, I don't think it needs to change much, but I think if you're going to respect anything, the one corner we know exists is that back north corner. I think you should respect the back north corner of the addition and probably in some subtle way the roof form. And so
So are you, I mean, do you think that the architectural direction of the extension is just?
I think
it's just not compatible.
I don't think it is really compatible with the overall architecture of the existing building. The historic front building, which is the only thing I can hang my hat on that,
Right.
because what we're really talking about here is an addition. The only thing visible that we've got is that little roof form, and they're respecting that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I certainly am in favor of this adaptive reuse in this building. But my concern, what I am basing my opinion on is the basis for additions, and I find that part of this addition is not compatible
Is it
with the historic architecture, and I think that the little rear addition should respect, in some subtle way, respect the roof line. It should respect the rear corner. We know that back wall is original. We know where the corner of that is, and I think it should respect that. Or maybe if it don't respect it by a few inches, I think it should respect that.
I agree with that, but I'm appreciative of what the applicant is doing with this site and that it is an adaptive reuse. And I'm okay with this plan, with maybe the few comments you said differentiating ever so slightly that additional path. Maybe respecting the historic corner at the rear. Yeah.
The historic corner and some nod to the original roof line, so it just doesn't read as a continuation of the original roof line. I mean, that can be done in a number of subtle ways. It doesn't have to.
So
And I really like the interior space when you look at the plans created by that glass enclosure, but I just don't think it's compatible with the architecture.
The detailing of the glass enclosure, it's all going to come down to that.
I think, yeah.
Is this mean you would want to
That's
see
just
back, or you think it could work with staff? Yeah.
My evaluation.
So you're not necessarily against the contemporary addition, it's the detailing of it, or?
I am not against contemporary design, either infill or additions on historic structures. I think it is difficult to do well, and I think you can do it well. I like it when it's done well. There are examples of it here. This is a wonderful example at the Louvre. But I think it's hard to do, and I think it's hard to reach. I perceive as that level of compatibility because you are differentiating so extremely that the compatibility becomes paramount. That's very difficult to achieve. And I don't think this is quite hit the mark. I think there's a way to do it. But as I remind people frequently, I'm on one vote on this board.
Yeah, I'm thinking that, I mean, I like the direction of it, but I agree, it's all in the details, and I think maybe we needed to see this back so that we can see some of the details. Yeah, I would have questions on how the glass box is going to detail, yeah.
So you would
glazed
want to see it back for
For
preliminary.
preliminary, yeah.
Detail,
So,
okay.
yeah. And that very rear addition, I mean, I can see where you're coming from that with maybe plane change for the roof and maybe the wall, you know, but I don't know that has to take on yet another language.
I don't think it has to take on another form.
Yeah.
Change.
Yeah.
I just, that is an 18th century building.
Yeah.
We are pretty adamant about
Yeah.
respecting the original footprint when we know it. And we certainly know it here on that back corner. Now, in the front corner, we don't, it's gone. We don't know. On that back corner, we
Yeah.
know where it is. So I think that would be appropriate. Small modification.
I agree with that.
Bill, did you want to make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion for, they're asking for conceptual again, conceptual approval. With the condition that the very rear addition incorporate a plane change in both both the roof and I guess that could be the north wall.
It's the north wall.
Yeah, the north wall.
Do you want to retain some nod to that original rear corner?
Right, yeah.
You want to word that? I don't say some respect to.
Allow the rear corner to continue to read.
Okay. So we have a motion on the floor for conceptual approval with two board conditions that the very rear addition incorporate a plane change in both the roof and north wall. And the second, to allow that historic rear corner to read as such. Do I have a second to Bill's motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Daryl. I'll put the motion to vote. Bill?
You in favor?
Fillmore?
We're gonna abstain because I don't want to, I'm in favor of the adaptive reuse of this building. I think that what the plan so far is going a long, long way towards the right direction. But I would like to reserve the right one. See it preliminary.
Daryl?
Yeah, in favor.
The chair votes with the majority and the motion passes 3-4 and 1 abstention. Thank you. Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll reconvene at 6:52.
I'm worried I think you can do that and make it right, but I think. Right now, it's unusual. And I don't think that's the building. Yeah. I would have voted. Yeah. I just. I would assume they. I don't want to find out. I don't want to. That's voting. Just over here again. Whatever you have. I can't understand it. Very funny. Yeah. These girls see my phone up here and I talk. I haven't thought about that. No, that's right. Yes, still 2 years early. Yeah. 15 items. 64 applicants for these 15 spots. I didn't know. Yeah, it doesn't have it. Yeah. It is spread out. Then what's the next couple? What was the sure? Right.
Because we may have this way.
Placement material.
if I get to be situated, I was being contracts, like, department and the staff, were not here before. They put the color on work on the hero. They did buy the period, they don't want to see lots of. Which that's part of goes forward.
Did he put in about, did he submit how much we were paying? Because they do ask like, see.
I was thinking, I remember TJ and this was here back. You're the rectangles on the corner. Yeah, it was completely, this was. I mean, hoping now what we always said, 8 down, it's hard to put here and can't put it. Exactly. We don't want to win the time.
That one on the house, the house, the Freeman house, that was.
Good point is, oh, yeah, you put it, right there. It's gonna be hard to put a sign there. Yeah. It's the way the building's structured. But another thing that they brought up was, since they're on the corner, they just completely dismissed this version. We could do like a rectangular sign, angular sign on the corner. Someone, there's pictures.
My neighbor's.
Yeah.
She literally talks about this falling apart, and she's.
We got these after you had.
The comments on it, now it's costing her. It's huge. She doesn't like what she's hearing. Like,
Yeah.
you don't ever maintain your home, you end up being in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to get. Yeah, that's like cool. Yeah, she only got I think it's the letter from the voters in response to what the. Okay. You can go to. You can do is go to the. December 2nd. Yeah, it's back in you can get to that. BZA meeting. Yeah, put in at the bottom. Say yes or no. Find out.
I won't put it where you got it.
All right.
All right. We're on agenda item 8 Riverside Drive. Frank, if you give us an introduction or review the project, please.
Yes, ma'am. 8 Riverside Drive is in Wagner Terrace, Council District 6. It's not surveyed circa 1938 in the Historic Materials Demolition District. Requesting approval for partial demolition of exterior elements visible from the public. This is the property's location on Riverside. And I will turn it over to the applicant.
Hi everyone, my name is Skylar Clarkson. I'm the designer of this project. We came before the BAR in November and the feedback was clarify the drawings and come back with partial approval for non-roof elements. So that is what we're back here for. This is the site, you guys are familiar with it. The new piece of information, Sanborns are the same from the previous submittal. The new piece of information is that we now have, thanks to BAR staff, definitive information that the rear shed addition was built in 93, placing it outside of purview. We had suspicions that it was around that age, but now we have confirmation due to this building permit. This is the house as viewed from the street. We met with Preservation Society and neighbors and feel that the defining characteristic of this house is its street-facing facade and its 2 intersecting gables. The chimney and that main ridge being defining, so all roof demolition is pushed beyond that main ridge and beyond that chimney. So here is the existing site plan. As you can see, there's those 2 large intersecting gable forms with a a gable structure off the front and then that shed addition at the back. These are some details. The house, I'm pretty sure in that 93 addition is they put from the aluminum siding, the vinyl windows, the vinyl trim. I think they reduced the roof overhang, put some new roof structure in. There's significant water intrusion issues in this house, so we are going back in with wood siding, BAR approved windows, cleaning up a lot of that mess that was made. This is the portion of roof demolition. It's roughly 30% of the overall roof structure focused behind the main chimney, behind that main ridge. And then that dashed section that's not in red is the addition outside of the AR scope. And so floor plan and elevations, we are not making any different changes on that first floor elevation, but are requesting rear facade demolition, shown here in the darker red. The paler red is showing that roof demolition that was shown in the roof plan, just again in this elevation. This facade, due to the 93 addition, was largely altered. I'm pretty sure that window wasn't original. Sanborn maps show that it was a one-story structure, so I think the occupation of the second floor half story didn't occur till later. There's no existing corner boards. Siding's non-original. Window is a vinyl window, vinyl trim. We are keeping the roof plane, so all demolition is to occur below the roof plane, that eave of the roof. The trim will be removed, but the roof itself will not be demolished, and that's clearly noted. So this is the roof demolition from the sides. We are keeping both the ridge and the eaves, staying both away from the main ridge and that sort of perpendicular ridge, retaining all eaves. And this is a perspective to sort of show where that demolition is happening. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the applicant?
The perspectives are very helpful.
All right, do we have anyone speaking in the public? All right, you can give us these staff comments and recommendations, please.
Staff has some observations. The request includes demolitions of portions of the rear roof and wall. A proposed area of demolition is pulled in from the eaves and down from the ridge. We added a condition because we were confused between some of the drawings. On the perspective, it looked like the rear eave was retained, but on one of the elevations, we couldn't. We just said the rear eave should be retained and demolition area should tuck under the eave. Staff recommendation is that we don't oppose demolition with staff condition of order.
Thank you, Frankie. Ms. Hodson, did you want to respond to or clarify anything raised in the staff comments?
Yes, just clarifying the demolition of the eave. And we talked about this in the staff meeting that we had on this project, but it is like a mildly confusing thing to show, but the text annotations note that the roof is not being demoed. It is just the non-historic trim and everything below that, but that plane is to remain of the top of the roof.
Thank you. All right, public comment in the applicant presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote. Less than 30%.
Yeah, I think the roof demo is reasonable. It's on the back side of the ridge where we asked for it, so.
The applicant in mind what we asked for, and I have no problem with that rear area.
Yeah.
It's awkward to cut in those valleys like that, but I would approve it. That's just me.
We're not supposed to consider
Oh.
what they're gonna do.
Well, and it's hard not to.
And
And I think the roof demolition is drainage is probably, and on one side it's pretty excessive, but it's not very. It's a pretty good section of the roof, but I don't think I have an issue with the roof demolition because it is off the eaves and off the ridge. I'm not so sure about the rear. Okay. And that's because the roof plane is being, it is not being affected, but the eave of the gable is. Because the demolition goes right to the roof plane.
To the rear wall and underside of non-original beam
The,
and trim.
I understand where Frankie's coming from, preserving the eave. You would then tuck underneath it, which preserves the roof form.
Right. Right, so. You know, the way this is run. Well, we can't talk about respect, so I think that retaining that eve is important. Maybe even if it's. I didn't measure the trim, so I don't know, I don't know how far down you have to come to retain the eve. But for me, retaining that. The rest. Okay.
Do we want to make a motion? Fillmore?
I would make a motion for approval of the demolition of the roof areas and approval of demolition of the rear gable, tension of the eaves below the roof line.
All right. We have a motion on the floor, approval of demolition of the roof areas and approval of demolition of the rear gable with retention of the eaves below the roof line. Do I have a second for Fillmore's motion?
I'll second.
Bill, put the motion to a vote. Daryl,
Yay in favor.
Fillmore,
In favor.
Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
chair votes the majority and the motion passed unanimously. Thank you.
I think I popped some words around my type.
Approval of demolition of the roof areas and approval of demolition of the rear. With retention to the eaves below the roof line. All right, agenda item 9, 21 Council Street. Frankie, when you are ready, you could give us an introduction overview of the project, please.
Sorry about that. I dropped a word, not switched them. Okay, 21 Council Street is in Charlestown, Council District 8. It is not surveyed circa 1928 in the Old Historic District, requesting conceptual approval for dormers and addition. This is the property on Council Street. And I will turn it over to the applicant.
Yes, good evening. My name is Tyler Smith. We're working with the owners of this property to make some alterations to it. We presented this design on December 11th, and I think that you're all here, possibly except for you, Mr. Turner. But the rest of you were here. It wasn't very long ago, so I'll keep my comments a little brief. You know, I'm getting a little late. The property occupies the southwest corner of Council and Gibbs Street. Here, Council and Gibbs. The house was built in sometime in the early 40s. I know that it says 1928, but it wasn't existing at that point. And I can show you some maps here in a moment. We have an addition here on the west side, 1 story only. We have in addition to the 3rd level on the rear facing west and 2 dormers facing east, as well as a reduced addition of a dormer on the south elevation. Some context here, the front of the residence is in the center image at the top. On the left is where the existing HVAC stand is. We are relocating to the roof of the south elevation over some previously enclosed porches. And that is where we're adding on to the kitchen and expanding the sunroom. This is a corner view of the residence here. A view from the north, which is where the kitchen addition shall be on this side, and an aerial showing the areas where we would propose adding on to the kitchen and to the sunroom there. This is where the small kitchen addition would be. And this is where a small addition to the bar would be on the south elevation. See, 1988, there was no land here at all and still was not existing. In an aerial image from 1939, the house was not yet there. And then it appeared in 1944, or it appeared on the 1944 Sanborn map. It's a brick veneer wood frame residence. From our first application, we have reduced the size of the addition to the south here. As you can see from where we were to here, it also allows a more balanced elevation on the south, which was one of the comments that we had. No changes really to the second floor, but you can see here how we have a second stair coming down to echo the one that we were planning there, 2 stairs to the garden from the bar area there. On the third level, we have reduced the number of windows in this west-facing dormer from 5 windows down to only 3. The dormers on the east-facing elevation, which were approved last time or have not been changed. Another small alteration that we've made is we've reduced the size of the HVAC screen so that they're a little farther from the existing gable windows to give a little bit more clearance there, which was another good comment. Go to the elevations. On the elevations, we still have 2 new windows on the dormer from the kitchen, and these windows are the only 2 original windows that were removed from existing walls, and we're actually replacing them and reusing them here. We're showing some new shutters here flanking those historic windows. We made the dormer windows a little bit more simple. Instead of 2 different widths, narrow, 3 wider and a narrow, we have only the 3 wider windows in the center. And the same kind of a move down here below in the sunroom. We have 5 equal windows rather than 2 different types. That makes the overall expression of the new windows more simple, and we think that that's good. Another big change that we've made, and a comment that was made at our last hearing, was that our dormer roof expression is no longer a shed dormer, but a lower profile hipped roof. There. Looking at the front, fewer changes here. The dormers are still as we were showing them. As we discussed last time, there are some corner boards here that we are actually restoring the appearance of the engaged columns that were once there that we're sure were removed when one of the phases of the porch enclosure was made. Looking at the south elevation, you can see the change from the December 11th application. We've reduced the size of this addition, restoring the balance of this elevation here, and having another stair echoing this one. We've also made the windows in the south-facing elevation of the sunroom a little bit more simple there as well. And we've reduced the size of the HVAC screen from where we were to where we are now, which we think is an improvement. And we appreciate those comments from last time. And these are just the existing. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Questions? Do we have anyone speaking in the public? Frankie, if you give us any staff comments and recommendations, please.
Had some observations. The previous shed dormer has been reduced in size. The light pattern and fenestration have been restudied on the south and west elevation, and the previous board comments have been addressed. So we're recommending a conceptual approval with any board conditions and preliminary and final.
Thank you, Frankie. Mr. Smith, did you want to respond to or clarify anything?
No, thank you.
All right, we are now in board discussion. A lot of those comments were Becky, and I thought they were good comments, and I really appreciate especially shrinking the HVACs around and making changing the shape of that dormer.
You did a nice job, Tyler. I don't
Yeah.
have any comments.
The only comment is, I wish existing, previous and proposed would be one after another. The existing elevations are all over at the end of the drawings. I almost got dizzy going back. I think it's great.
Well, do we have some consensus on a motion? Daryl?
Make a motion to approve. Is it for conceptual or
Is this conceptual or preliminary?
It is.
Okay.
approve concept? We would
Conceptual.
approve conceptual as submitted with preliminary and final by staff.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor for conceptual approval, preliminary and final review by staff. Got a second to Daryl's motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Fillmore. The motion to the vote, Bill,
Yeah, in favor?
Daryl,
You in favor?
Fillmore,
Yeah, in favor.
chair votes to the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 10 is 220 King Street. Frankie, if you give us an introduction, overview of the project, please.
Oh, you guys, sorry. Put up out there. I'm still dying. All right, 220 King Street is in Council District 58. It is a category 2, circa 1835 in the Old Historic District. They are requesting final approval for signage. Sorry. This is the property's location on King Street. And I will turn it over to the applicant.
Hello, I'm Zach. I'm with Image 360 Charleston. I'm representing 220 King, Onward Reserve Retail Store. Just wanted to say, pleasure to meet y'all. We're new to the area. Not new to the sign industry though. It's good to meet y'all. Sorry for my appearance. I've been playing concrete all day, so next time I'll dress up. We're proposing a HDU sign. Going up in between the second and third story.
There's a clicker up there too.
Oh,
You go
there we go.
forward, it'll go through.
You guys
the-
know what an HDU sign is? It's almost like some people call it a beach house sign. It's dimensional.
Yeah.
Okay. There it is there. Then we also have a blade sign, two different options that we have. It's also going to be the same material as the building sign. Yep. Again.
Any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone speaking from the public? Conservation groups have left the building, so. Frankie, if you'll give us any staff comments and recommendations, please.
We just have observations. This was denied by staff due to not meeting King Street sign policy. Only 2 sign types are allowed. The rendering showed window graphics, right angle sign and facade sign. Facade sign are typically not approved between the second and third floors by staff. Staff doesn't approve faux wood grain, no sandblasted HDU, and renderings must show attachments. Signs are not to be attached to the brick, but instead to the mortar joints.
Thank you, Frankie. Did you all want to respond to or clarify anything in the staff comments before we?
So on the rendering of the building sign, those window graphics are no longer there. That was from the previous tenant. And the renderings for point E, we'll be attaching them to the mortar joints. We had that up there on the, we fixed that. So that's where they will be installed, so not into the brick, into the mortar joints.
Okay. All right, thank you all. Public comment on the applicant's presentation is now closed, so move into board discussion and a vote.
The excuse me, the facade sign, the board's been very consistent about not locating signs high up on buildings. It kind of gives a billboard effect, and King Street's a very pedestrian way. It's not an automobile type, like Savannah Highway or something. So we want all signage down at the pedestrian level. So, I wouldn't be in support of the facade sign. The blade sign, I think the design, and layout is fine. I think the size is fine. But we do have a policy, of no sandblasted signs. It kind of gives more of a, they're kind of casual and beachy looking, and, we usually ask for something a little more refined on the peninsula. And then as far as the blade sign mounting options, I think mounting to the pilaster looks more comfortable to me than up above the arched window. That's all I've got.
Yeah, I mean, I think a large facade sign between the first and second floor windows is incongruous for King Street. I just did a quick Google Earth run down a few blocks around there, and there's nothing like that on King Street. So I think that's inappropriate for that area. But I don't have any issues with the blade sign, but I agree it looks better on the pilaster. And as well as it follows, obviously, we have no sign, no sandblasted signs.
Yeah, it can be dimensional, just not.
Yeah, it just can't be
sandblasted
sandblasted,
texture.
right?
Yeah.
Mine looks better on the pilaster than above the arch on the brick.
Am I allowed to comment on anything?
Someone has a question for the applicant.
Yes.
Yes.
The reason for the facade sign being on the second, in between the second and third story is because if you look below, there's some decorative, trim, if you want to call it.
Front doesn't have a banner.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's just the nature of the historic building, and
It's just.
modify the
Just being
appearance
able
of the area, because the building has a particular, the historic building has a particular architecture. You just got to get creative and work within it.
Okay.
Yeah, some window graphics would be fine.
Yeah, window graphics, you got
Right.
two, so you have, window graphics would be fine, and blade sign, put it on the pilaster.
understandable.
Instead of
fine.
doing facade sign. Okay, we have some.
I would make a motion for approval of the right angle sign mounted on the pilaster. And this is a appeal, right?
Non-technical.
Yeah, a non-texture, yeah, non-sandblasted.
Changed it since the denial, we didn't write it as a appeal,
You
we
did.
wrote it as a request.
Okay, fine. And okay, approval of the
Right angle sign.
blade sign, the angle sign,
But-
mounted on the pilaster, but not sandblasted.
So with staff comment,
D, one D. Yeah.
No sandblasted sign, yeah. We can just do it that way. And denial of the facade sign.
All right, we have a motion on the floor for approval of the right angle sign mounted on the pilaster with staff comment one D, and then denial of the facade sign. Do I have a second to Fillmore's motion?
Second.
You, Bill, I'll put the motion to a vote. Daryl,
Yeah, in favor.
Fillmore,
Yeah, in favor.
Bill,
You in favor?
chair vote to the majority, and the motion passed unanimously. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 11, 31 Cypress Street. Frankie, if you'll give us an introduction, overview of the project, please.
Cypress Street is in North Central District 4. It is a category 3, circa 1930 materials demolition district. Requesting an appeal of staff denial to replace windows. This is the property's location on Cypress Street. And I will turn it over to the applicant.
Hey, how are y'all doing? Save the best for last, right? Derek with McKinsey with Home Depot. Here, the contractor representing the homeowner on this job. We originally got involved with this customer, I guess she had a previous company come out, maybe a previous year, a couple of years before. And she had 6 windows on the front of her house installed, which I'm not sure if you did a site visit or not, but they were installed with vinyl non-impact, facing the front of the street with an anchor system. And our scope of the work would be attaching, replacing the windows on the side of the house and the back. She got 1 window on the back, and I think 6 or 7 on the left side of the house that we're replacing. We're not touching any of the exterior trim. The windows are basically in disrepair themselves as far as the sashes and the frames of the windows, but the exterior trim we're leaving intact. We're just replacing the kind of the box frame of the unit to match the existing one she had replaced a couple of years before. And with the same type vinyl window, just upgrading to an impact window. But none of the windows we're replacing are visible from the street area as previously. I guess she had 6 replaced previously by a different contractor in the front or a different company. So we were just tying in and matching to those as well. That's it.
Okay, any questions for the applicant?
And how long ago did you say the windows on the front were changed out?
I'm not sure. We didn't do that. I think she said maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago. If you look at, I mean, we have.
They were determined by staff not to be original windows, so we didn't
Okay.
have jurisdiction. to approve
Yeah.
Okay,
Previous
okay,
windows.
they were already
So
something.
it was a staff verified, not original windows.
Okay,
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know the name of the company, but like I said, they were done with vinyl, non-impact, and they did a big bulky. And they also wrapped the existing 1x4 trim with like a vinyl clad and put an anchor system in it, visible from the street. Where again, we're doing an impact window, not touching the exterior trim. The trim is staying intact. We're just replacing the box of the window to match the existing window she has now.
And it's a solid vinyl window.
A solid vinyl window, yes, sir. And of course, impact. So there'd be no anchor system, no clad around the trim. Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, is there anyone speaking from the public? Frankie, will you give us any staff comments and recommendations, please?
We only have observations from a permit that was denied by staff because the proposed windows were required.
Okay. Thank you, Frankie. Did you want to respond to or clarify anything in the staff?
No, I said, I mean, obviously it was just denied, so that's why we had to back to back, so.
Thank you. All right, public comment and the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote. Always loved the roof on this house.
Yeah.
So unique.
yeah, it's a real shame that those windows were replaced on the front. Like replaced. I mean, the board has a policy against solid vinyl, has a policy against vinyl windows. Now, Daryl and I had this discussion earlier, some of the clad vinyl windows have gotten better since that policy statement was written, saying that no vinyl windows at all. So there have been improvements in the vinyl clad windows, but on one hand, to me, this is repeating the mistakes made on the front of the house. It's just carrying lower grade windows all around to the rest side of the house. I mean,
And from the photographs, the windows that are in the photographs are original. And, I mean, I can't say that with absolute certainty because I haven't put my hands on them, but from the photographs, they look like they're probably the original windows. And so that is demolition of the historic material.
Yeah.
And I don't see any supporting evidence to indicate that those windows need to be replaced. I mean, it might be significant supporting evidence saying those windows need to be replaced, and it would just be a staff repair but
I agree. I think
I don't see the evidence, like I said, all the photographs I saw.
And Frankie, this is something that you guys could have done if they wanted, they picked from your
Approved list.
approved list of windows,
Yes.
correct? Or comparable to what's on. I see no reason to vary.
I think I got out of,
Well,
we usually see demos in the beginning of the meeting, and so then I get out, but I think this is demo. So I think we're viewing this. We could view it the way we view all demolition.
Demolition. But I would uphold staff's denial. On the,
And by
all the windows but the front, and the front are not in our purview, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
For clarification, if one of these were damaged or some reason they needed to be replaced, it would need to be replaced in kind.
No,
No,
no, in this particular area of town, staff has a list of windows, or they can accept something that's comparable. to what's on
Okay.
the list, which does allow.
Material.
So if they needed to be
Does allow
replaced.
the clad, simulated divided. It just doesn't allow vinyl.
oh, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And so they could approve an appropriate SDL.
Yeah.
So make a motion
No
to
flag window.
uphold staff's decision or denial.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to uphold the staff decision. Do I have a second to Daryl's motion?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Gilmore.
It's getting late. I'll put the motion to a vote. Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
Daryl,
Yeah, in favor.
Fillmore,
Yeah, in favor.
chair vote to the majority, and the motion passes unanimously. So you'll work with staff on the list of approved windows, and you don't have to come back before the board. Okay, agenda item 12, 9 Charleston Place. Frankie, if you give us an introduction, overview of the project, please.
9 Charleston Place is in Charleston Village, Council District 8. It is not surveyed circa 1984 in the historic district. Also requesting appeal of staff denial to replace windows. This is the property's location on Charleston Place, and I will turn it over to the applicant.
Okay, I don't have the pictures for a PowerPoint. I didn't realize that, so I apologize. Actually, what I'm requesting is to replace the original windows. They're 1984, and quite a few of the sashes are in really bad condition. And the last storm we had, I had some rocks that hit the windows, and I've got some broken windows as well. And I'm requesting to do it. I had the Anderson 400 series originally, and I'm wanting to do the same, but with impact glass. And it's vinyl clad. And I've got Derek here. He's with Home Depot with me. And the only modification I'm wanting to do is on the butane side. I have double hung windows on the master bedroom and then the living room area. And it's 3 adjoined. I can give you the pictures. And the middle one is a full glass, and I'd like to get rid of the double hung. We've got several neighbors who've done it. There's like 3 or 4 homes in there that they've done it. And that would be the only modification. No changes in size, nothing else. I want to do the entire home for impact with windows. Sorry, I get nervous.
No, you're fine.
You're fine. What's the material of the windows that are in there now?
take over?
It's final plan. I'll let Derek take over.
Okay, so what's in there is final plan?
It's gonna be exactly the
Okay,
same.
okay.
There's no changes.
Yeah, so basically in this, she has existing, so the property was originally built with Anderson 400 clad. The
Right.
entire, not just her property, but the entire townhome complex has existing Anderson vinyl clad 400 series windows now, just non-impact.
Right.
So she is requesting or to go back with in-kind like for like, which is what she has in the Anderson 400. This is a sample of it here. It's a solid core, wood window. Only difference is we're upgrading to the impact option versus the non-impact. But again, it's a vinyl. This is I don't know if you guys just want to see it, but it's a true vinyl clad wood window.
These have got so much better.
Oh, yes, no, that's a really good looking window. But again, that's what she has in there now, not to that not to that degree as far as cosmetics, because what she has are old school,
Very
Mhm.
familiar.
is old school vinyl. That's the new modern.
Windows now,
Do you want to see this?
sure.
Yeah, just be careful on the glass.
Sorry.
Maybe we should.
But they're not solid vinyl, they're vinyl clad.
Right, right.
Yeah, just want to make that.
So the reason why it's here, Frankie, is because of the material, right? Because of our outdated window.
We just did
Actually,
that.
our updated window policy.
I would like to say, do have HOA approval.
Okay.
Yeah, she did get HOA approval, and there's obviously, not to throw any, but there's a couple of other units in there that's gotten approval for actual vinyl windows. They went back on permitting saying in kind, they went and back and replaced it with an actual vinyl, solid vinyl.
Mhm.
What she's doing, of course, is what she has. She has existing 400, again, not cosmetically looking like that, because old school 400, as you know, is, it's just,
It's not that.
it's not that. That's the new modern clad window there. So she's not changing anything. It's gonna look the same, I guess is what I'm saying.
I don't have any issue with it. It's not,
Well, we're in questions.
oh, okay, sorry. I'm getting ahead of
Any
myself.
questions for the applicant?
No.
You're ready to go, Ethan.
I'm ready to go.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Do we have anyone speaking from the public? Frankie, if you give us any staff comments and recommendations.
I just have the observation that staff, denied by staff, based on the final window, and we just updated the window policy bill.
We did.
And it
But
says-
not for vinyl.
And it says no vinyl, so staff can't approve it.
Did you want to respond to or clarify that? anything
No,
is
I
in
mean,
denial? So-
no, ma'am.
All right, we're in board discussion. Now, this one is different from the last one because that was demo, which I think that should have been styled, by the way, as just an application for a demo. But anyways, that's the last application. Okay.
I don't have a problem with this because for several reasons. One is I think that's a good looking window. And this is in a non-historic building, and it being right on near the water there, it is a little harsher environment. So I'm comfortable with this.
Yeah, that's, the current 400 series
Yeah.
windows are good windows.
Yeah.
They're used on the beachfront all the time
Yeah.
because they hold up pretty well.
Yeah.
So I don't really have an issue. We need to thinking about the fact that there are windows with vinyl and other composites that are truly clad windows, STLs that are good windows.
Yeah.
So-
We need to be able to use them.
I agree.
So I don't have an issue with this.
Somebody want to make a motion?
So this was, okay.
I think we
It's
overturned the
Okay,
staff's.
my motion would be to overturn staff's denial of the windows.
Now, do we need to actually approve the window? Or just overturn your denial?
Just overturn the denial, that's the window we denied.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to overturn staff denial. Do I have a second to Bill's motion?
I'll say.
Daryl, I'll put the motion to the vote. Fillmore,
Yeah, in favor.
Bill,
Yeah, in favor.
Daryl,
Yeah, in favor.
chair votes to the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any windows, let me know.
Agenda item 13, 21 Marlowe Drive. Frankie, if you give us an introduction, overview of the project, please.
Okay, 21 Marlowe Drive is a new terrace, Council District 6, not surveyed circa 1899, Material Demolition District. Requested an appeal of staff denial for window replacement on the site. This is the property's location on Marlowe Drive. And I will turn it over to the applicant.
I'm Stephen Nicholson. I have the owner here. Working on trying to get approval for the side windows. She's been given approval to put vinyl windows on the front of the home that are vinyl windows with the wood wrapped in an aluminum cladding. Currently, we've been given approval to do the back of the house that way because it's not visible from the street, but was denied approval to do the sides of the property with the same windows to keep the consistency of the home with the windows being the same.
So the ones you got approval for on the back are the same as what's in the front?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, and just being denied on the sides. And just wanting to do their existing wood windows. Wanted to do a vinyl pocket replacement and wrap the exterior wood with an aluminum clad.
What type of window?
Vinyl window.
What brand do you know?
Would you mind looking at my book, it's the best I could do?
Yeah, I'd come in after the fact on some of it. She'd been originally dealing with another contractor.
So this was built in 68, you're saying? or
And
60?
the years they were built are marked. And this is the block that 21 is in. And if you're facing the houses, these pictures are from left to right, starting with 15 Marlowe and going all the way to 29. But there's no 19 or 27, so I didn't omit anything. So if you want to take a look at the years. Then we get to where we had sticker shock. We went with the retailer and priced the whole house, which was our intention. But then sticker shock came into play and we said, well, why don't we split it? Do part of the house and then do the rest later, which was fine. Until, okay, so the first phase in 2022, if you're going through these pages, it's a page turning. We got a permit from now we went with this retailer and they were to do everything. We didn't have to do anything except pay for the windows. So from here on would be what I found out when I came here that they did or didn't do. Okay, so in the first phase, we got a approval to replace the first phase, but if you see highlighted, it says non-original. However, I know from the previous owner that they were original, and I don't know where they got that from because I wasn't part of that part. So if you turn again, there's a photo there that shows the before with the original windows. And below is after with just the front replaced. Are you with me?
You know the brand of the window?
On the side?
That said, it was put on the front and the back.
The back hasn't been done yet. We've gotten approval to do the back. They have not been done yet.
But the,
So what's on the front? What brand?
Protect Shore.
I gotta. Yeah. I wasn't part of the front, so that's
Right.
why I'm not
Oh.
real familiar with
Yeah.
what windows are on the front.
What's
I'm
on the
lucky to
back is
find
gonna be
it.
the same as the front, right?
It's gonna look the same
Yeah.
as the front. It might be a different manufacturer, but it's gonna look the same. Because I don't know if I can. Yeah, the Protect Sure Max. I don't even know who the manufacturer is.
What brand will the back be?
I was looking at either doing a Wincor or Simonton.
Wincor or Simon?
I don't know.
And you,
Which is gonna look the same as what was already put on the front.
and the request is to do that on the side too?
Yes,
So do this, whatever you're gonna do on the back, do on the sides?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, the whole request is about getting the sides to be able to be done so that the whole home's the same.
we don't know what window.
Do we have the specs on the windows that are going in that you're proposing?
We had specs on the windows that she had originally purchased, that the people she had purchased from through what? Yeah.
So you own the windows?
Where are you getting?
They threw them away.
I think think the past tense, she owned the windows.
She owned the windows and they threw them in the dumpster.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah,
So when I originally came in, I was gonna pick those windows up and install them. And then they threw them away after they found out I was gonna be coming to pick them up.
yeah.
So I haven't even fully, and then all this happened, so we were just trying to get it approved to be able to do the side, because we have the back approved. So before I ordered anything, because I didn't want to order something and then there'd be a problem.
Are there sides original? Like, are we in? the-
Yeah, they're wood, we're just putting a vinyl pocket replacement into the existing wood frame. And then wrapping the exterior of it with an aluminum clad, just like what was done on the front.
Yeah.
What I
Yeah.
That looks better. I just wish this had been.
Huh?
I wish that,
Yeah, I mean, I don't,
because now it,
yeah, I know.
So we're just trying to keep consistency of the home,
Right.
of
I know.
the sides not being
Right.
different than the front and the back.
That's why I said, I wish the front, I wish the front had stayed like the side,
I
but now.
I totally get it.
This is hard. Oh, yeah, we're not in board discussion. Thank you for reminding me.
So we can go in order.
Okay, are there any more questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Any public comment? Frankie, will you give us city staff comments and recommendations?
I just have observations that the front windows were approved in 2022. We staff had received documentation that the front windows were non-original, which would mean they were not under our jurisdiction. And that we denied the proposed windows as they were vinyl windows and not provable by staff.
Did you want to respond to or clarify anything in the staff comments before we move into board discussion?
I do have a compromise, if you're interested.
You're in your response portion, so if you'd like to propose your compromise, and then when we move into board discussion, we can discuss that.
Well, it would be the same windows, but in the interest of aesthetics, I'd be willing to put muntins in every window.
Thank you. All right, now we are in board discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a, you know, the front window's already in there, they changed the light pattern and everything on those because they theoretically were not original, which they probably were. That's a done deal. I don't have a problem with a good clad window. We just don't know what the window is. We have no idea what the window is. And so I don't see how this is appeal, right? So I don't see how we make a decision on that without information on what the windows are. Unless.
We've got one type of window in the front and then another type of window that's, or the replacements have been approved for the back, but we don't know what those replacements are. So I think whatever goes inside should either be the same windows that are in the front or the same windows that are in the back.
Same light pattern?
Yeah, for consistency.
Which what's going in the back is gonna be the same light pattern as what's in the front.
Yeah.
So.
I mean.
Yeah, it might as well.
I wouldn't consider these, historic buildings.
Well, they're not.
And
I mean, they are.
They are technically, but
The architecture is not historic.
Right. So, so it's not like, if they were historic,
I mean, overturn staff's denial with the board condition that windows on the side match in appearance and manufacture
We are in demo.
the windows that are on.
We're only in demo purview, so.
Oh, we can't do that.
All we can do is approve the demo.
That is how the front got approved at the back, because the back were not visible.
Okay.
But, so I think all we can do is approve demo.
Okay. I mean, the
Which
windows look pretty bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think,
I don't think we're setting a precedent here because we've
I
got
don't
a
think we
long.
already.
It's like that vinyl siding that we approved over, that like we would never approve, but it was what was existing. This is not good.
But
We have,
Frankie, I'm sorry.
well, I was gonna say, we have a sort of a, I'm gonna say a mistake that happened on the front of the house, the approval of demo of those windows. And now I almost think we need to approve demo of the sides of the house, so we don't end up with this funky looking.
I agree.
We need to right a wrong
Yeah, exactly.
by wrong.
Frankie, so you didn't deny a particular window, you just, it came in that the window was vinyl and that you got denied.
Correct.
So if we overturn that.
I think we also need to approve demo,
We still don't know. Nobody knows the windows going back there.
but they'd have to get staff approval.
Yeah.
They would go to staff to get it approved.
Do they, if we overturn it, does it have to come back to you for approval? No. Their denial, I'm trying to figure out,
Oh, no, they don't. They can put whatever they want.
like, yeah, they can put whatever they want.
Yeah, they can put whatever they want.
Right, if we overturn it. And I certainly don't object to having the same windows that are on the front go in the sides. It's just that that's not what we're approved.
But I think what's there now looks terrible with one type in the front, one type.
I know.
And it sounds like the owner wants to put something in that's gonna reasonably match, so I think that's a better, that's better than leaving what's there.
I agree.
I think you're right.
Okay, so I think the motion needs to be to overturn the staff denial and approve demolition.
Right.
Did someone make that motion?
I did.
No, I mean.
Daryl made that motion. We have. I know, we can't put any conditions on it.
I know we can. I wasn't gonna put.
We can try.
No.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to overturn staff denial. Even though I think, okay, and approve demolition of windows. All right, do I have a second to Daryl's motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bill. I'll put the motion to a vote. Fillmore,
Yeah, in favor.
Daryl,
Yeah, in favor.
Bill.
Yeah, in favor.
The chair votes the majority and the motion passes unanimously. Thank y'all for your patience.
Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
You too. Agenda item 14 is 2 Hanover Street.
Thank you. All we have to do is vote. It's denied. It's denied. It's.
I think it should have been style.
Or we don't need to approve the demolition.
No, I think it should have been style of the demo application, not a appeal, because staff couldn't approve the demo in the first place. It was a
I mean,
demo.
this is.
That's why I added
I'm
demo.
not sure.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
it was how we were told. We can talk about it later.
I'm not sure.
2 Hanover is an East Side Council District 4. It is a Category 4 in the architecture inventory, circa 1852 in the Old City District, requesting an appeal of a staff decision for full siding and window replacement. This is the property's location on Hanover.
I'm Rob Johnson. I'm sorry, I don't have a slideshow like a lot of these people have, but I think Frankie, you've got the pictures. Is that correct? The ones that I uploaded?
We do.
Yeah, there you go. So that's 2 Hanover. And there was a substantial fire there. I don't know when, but a lot of the siding was burned on the inside and a lot of the studs were burned on the inside. That couldn't really be seen before we started looking at it. But yeah, our request is to replace with the original type siding, 1x8 square inch siding. The windows we've requested are the Victor built historical windows, wood windows, single pane glass, true divided light. So that's where we are. We've done the roof and we have approval to work on the inside, but can't really do much on the inside. With the siding leaking and the windows leaking and all that, so.
Any questions for the applicant?
How much, I'm looking at these pictures and it looks like maybe some of this siding is been replaced before.
It has, I think after the fire.
You know, is there a substantial amount of it that's, I mean, how much original siding would you think is left on the building? Yeah,
Just
just
not a lot, not a lot.
Any other questions?
especially this rear half, it's like, it's really patched up and you can see different profiles.
And we have to redo some of those railings and columns, but it's all going back as original. I think that rail right there is about 30 inches tall. Which is also rotten.
Which is fine, because that's the historic height, and you can go back with the historic height. Yes, you do not.
But it is, some of it is rotten, so it does have to be replaced.
Matter of fact, we prefer you to go back with the historic height.
Okay.
The proportion.
Any other questions?
This is for
Exciting.
siding and windows, full window replacement.
Correct.
Are the windows original that are in there?
Well, some of, I don't know, a few of them are. There are a few vinyl windows in there.
It looked like there were a couple front
And
that
then,
weren't original.
then there's some wood windows that don't look like they date back to original.
What's the window you?
The Victor built historical
Victor
window,
built.
yeah.
Same light patterns.
Any other questions? All right, there's one public. Franklin, you'll give us any staff comments and recommendations.
I just have the staff requested photos of areas with wood rot and specifications on replacement windows, and we can't approve wholesale replacements.
Did you want to respond to or clarify anything in the staff comments?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Did you want to respond to or clarify anything in the staff comments? It's really,
Do we just have observation of requesting photos? Since
Oh.
it's wholesale, we can't approve it.
yeah, this is your opportunity to respond to that, but you don't have to before we move into board discussion.
I don't think so, no.
Okay. All right, public comment, the applicant's presentation is now closed. We'll move into board discussion and a vote.
I mean, I would approve, obviously, we're replacing all the bad siding in kind with wood siding to match the original exposure. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think there's probably a lot of early siding on that building itself. So I would certainly approve that. I'm uncomfortable, a little bit uncomfortable with wholesale replacement of the windows. I mean, it may be that every window on there is not restorable.
All the windows are rotten.
And certainly Victorville,
Yeah.
it's a good window. It's perfectly acceptable. I mean, it's not.
All the windows are rotten or broken, so.
Can we work with staff?
Can y'all like go out there and just do an inspection of the windows?
We need documentation and we need a window survey done, so because we have to have something in the file, which is what we request.
So if we condition it that he do a window survey and hand it off to you guys to review the window survey?
Yes, we can do that and
Okay.
approve individual windows for
Okay.
replacement,
Okay.
but the request was for all, so we
Now,
can.
And it may be all of them, but you need a window survey.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
what about these two windows that look on the front facade?
I think they've been replaced.
Are you planning on redoing those as well?
The ones that are like funky?
They're 2/2,
Right
and
there.
they're 1/1s,
Yes, we are.
and all the rest are 6/6s.
You can see they don't have the same light pattern, so they
Right.
were replaced at some point in time.
And they look awful.
When they try to like make it like true north?
It would be better for them to be crooked with the house than.
Yeah, right.
That's funny.
Somebody tried to put them in there straight. It would.
It wouldn't work, would it? Just put them in crooked.
So so staff said, okay, so are we? This is appeal of a staff decision. And the staff decision denied wholesale replacement of siding and windows. So I think we were agreeing with staff that
Correct.
wood siding can be, repaired, replaced, which it sounds like is your plan.
Well, to replace, yeah, but to repair, when you get bad siding in the middle of a wall, when you try to take it out and just replace that section, you're gonna break the siding above and below and it's really not, I don't see where it gains you anything because almost all of the siding is just gone. It's rotted away. Again, we had fire at some point on the inside of the house. It burned a lot of that siding. It looked good on the outside, but it's bad on the inside.
Would have been a good site.
What do you want to do with exciting?
We were going to add a site visit, but y'all were already going to
I mean,
11. So. We were going to add a site visit, but y'all were already going to 11.
Oh, I should have gone by there myself.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Well, it looks like the siding underneath the porches is in pretty good shape, just from the pictures I can see. Would you agree to that? I mean, that's in pretty good shape.
I mean,
Protected by the porches.
yeah, I don't know what we gained by that, but yeah, you know.
It's all about saving historic fabric.
Right.
What it is.
And if you're gonna replace it, you know, with the same exposure, with the siding with the same exposure, then it's not, you know, where you've got, I mean, you know, where you've got decent runs with reasonable stops, I think it makes sense to save the siding. You might do a little refastening, but you don't have to tear it all off and buy new expensive material. And then where you've got a series of runs, there may be a few boards in those runs that are good, but it's reasonable then to take a little more of it off so you get runs end to end where it works. So I would approach it that way, which would mean not total replacement, but replacement as required.
So I think that we're back to, we're upholding the staff decision.
But I'm sure, you know, staff is reasonable about those kinds of things if you work with them. And then I think a window survey is in order.
Can y'all go and take a look at this?
I don't know when. I've got 90 board submittals at the moment.
Jeez. 90.
Well, let me just say full disclosure. When we started this process, which has been quite a while, and we saw all the fire damage on the inside, and a lot of the framing was fire damaged, we have taken all the siding off the house.
Oh, okay. So it's.
And there was nothing under the siding. It was just siding straight to the studs.
Okay.
So we have wrapped it to keep the house from falling down.
All the siding.
All the siding.
Okay.
Right.
That makes it a different story.
Yeah.
We wish you said that up front.
That was a whole different.
We wrapped it with sheathing and it's prepared for siding, but it was in very bad condition.
Did you pull the window trim off? What does that do to your trim profile?
That's all, that's gone.
All the window trims.
Yes, we're gonna replace it as original.
This
after.
is an after the fact. This is
Yeah.
not a request for fields.
When we started this process, it wasn't after the fact, but it's taken so long. And we did put, like I said, we were permitted to put a roof on and do interior work, but we couldn't do any interior work with it leaking like it was.
I would, knowing where we are with this, I would not support this application.
I think we have to defer that.
Staff and the applicant need to sort out what's the appropriate submittal to come to the board with.
Mhm.
And I don't think this is it.
Yeah, this is deceptive. I mean, we're presented with photos of a house that's got siding on it.
Yeah, I
and
know.
we're being told there's no
There's
siding.
no siding and all of the trim is gone. And the house has been sheathed. Changes.
And I don't-
Every reveal on the house.
Well, then I think we're still in a position of upholding staff
We're up-
denial and
Yeah,
the
Right.
staff needs to
I
figure
would
out
make- I would make a
how it
motion.
needs to come back to the
Now it
board.
becomes a violation. Right. Okay.
I would make a motion to uphold staff's denial.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to uphold the staff denial. Do I have a second to Fillmore's motion?
I'll second.
Put the motion to a vote. Daryl?
Yeah, in favor.
Fillmore?
Yeah, in favor.
Bill?
Yeah, in favor.
Chair votes to the majority and the motion passes unanimously. And we've got one more. Agenda item 15.
Across the street.
Frankie?
Hang on, gotta document everything. So who made the motion and who made the second?
Um,
I went too fast.
Fillmore made the motion and Bill had a second.
Thank you. Okay. The next one is 3 Hanover, also in East Side, Council District 4, Category 4, circa 1900 in the Old City District. Also requesting appeal of staff decision for full siding and window replacement.
That house is vinyl siding.
Is the siding still on?
Yeah, it is.
And the window trim?
Oh, yeah.
And that, you know, my guys kind of got ahead of themselves, so I apologize. Yeah, so it's vinyl and it's not a very good job and the windows are very mismatched. There's original wood, there's replacement wood, there's several vinyl, and there's some aluminum windows.
Now, do you know what's underneath the vinyl yet? Have you
No,
assessed it? And you're asking for full siding replacement on this one too? Yeah, I think you're a little ahead of yourself on this one. I think you need to see what's underneath first.
Okay.
Evaluate it. The windows, I mean.
This is the thing, I mean, it's hard to tell from the photographs. You know, this really is just like this and, but the windows are, you know, 6/6, they're period, you know, they're probably.
Right.
Originally, they probably some replacement sashes in there and those wouldn't be significant, but I think it would. And it's not that, and Victorville certainly is an appropriate window to replace them with, but I think you need a window survey. And I agree with Bill. I think that, you know, there's a few places in the photographs where the siding is exposed. I think that, that.
Yeah, the vinyl may have protected it. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
I mean, I would.
like I'm looking up in this gable here where there's no
Yeah.
vinyl over it.
Mhm.
It looks good.
Yeah. So I would.
I mean, we'd be glad to
I would get
keep any siding that's
Yeah.
that's good. I mean, that obviously would save a little.
Yeah. I would say that we uphold cities, staff's denial on the wholesale replacement of siding.
Same place as last time.
Yeah, the windows, I'm okay with any replacement of any vinyl windows or any non-original windows, you know. But any original windows, I think we need a window survey on, like you said.
And I think, staff could approve taking the vinyl off.
Yeah.
So just get staff.
Yeah, we can pull some of it off and see what's
Pull
back
some,
there.
pull enough of it off, so you got an idea what you got.
Okay.
And then. Just repair. Staff can approve siding.
Yeah, I agree. Anything that can go to staff is
Yeah.
great. Okay, so I think, Bill, you made a motion to uphold the staff denial with the board comment that any replacement of vinyl is approved. Do I have a second to Bill's motion?
I'll go ahead. I mean, Daryl.
Yes, me.
Daryl. Put the motion to a vote. Fillmore,
Yeah, in favor.
Bill,
Yeah.
Daryl.
Yeah, in favor.
Chair votes the majority and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, sir.
So for the window survey, is that something I need to do or?
Yeah, it's mostly kind of taking a nice, good up close photos to show the damage. Yeah, anything you can do to show us window by window what kind of condition they're in.
Somehow identify
Yeah.
what the windows are.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
you know, you can do it. You can do it with it, you know, if you had some as-built, you could just mark it on the as-built.
Yeah.
If you don't have as-built yet at this point, you can just say, you know. Second floor, east, first floor, west.
Right.
Okay, just so that have an idea of which windows you're talking about. If you have as-built, just take the as-built and mark on the as-built.
Okay, I don't know how quickly we can get that in, but I know your agenda fills up and I'm all.
You work with staff on that, so you don't have to come back before the board. Yeah, we're trying to find ways that you can work with
Thank you.
staff.
I'm on for the 12th for a different project, but for February.
Yeah,
but,
because you should, window study, you should go to work with staff.
Okay.
And you know, like, back to the windows, like this picture window here, you know, I would have no problem with that going. You know, yeah, the idea is the window survey should apply to the original windows.
Okay.
Anything
Right,
with vinyl or, stuff like that. It's fair game.
Thank you all very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm voting to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
You need
All in favor?
Submit window surveys.